Good afternoon, everybody. Today's February 10th, and it's about 12:20 in the afternoon. This video it's going to be very serious video. Just to let you know from the beginning, this video is really geared towards law enforcement and anybody that's been part of some giant investigation that might be taking place in the background. I'm not really going to waste time with an introduction other than the fact that I've been fighting for my life for about the past 10 days. I'm pretty sure I got poisoned on January 31st, which would be Friday, this past Friday, January 31st, and I've spent the past 10 days really just kind of recovering from that, and I almost died. I feel like I almost died. During those first few days, I was very close to dying, and I had to pretty much weather the entire thing on my own in my van. And so, for you as the viewer, I imagine you're all caught up on my other videos, and when you clicked on this video, you were probably expecting me to just jump right in, continuing from where I left off, talking about Kelly. But we're not going to be going that way in this video. We will be continuing, maybe in the next video or the following one. But we'll pick up from where I left off. But because of what just happened 10 days ago, and everything that's happened through the month of January, just this past January, there's been multiple attempts on my life in just this past month where essentially I have to stop on the story I was starting to introduce about Kelly. We have to stop, and we're gonna have to talk about now and things that have been happening within this past month and a half, because if there are people that are actually trying to murder me and they just tried again, right? These are things that I need to talk about now. I mean, as much as I would love to just continue focusing on the story I was sharing, understand that my entire YouTube platform, as far as the story, I'm trying to tell you this very long story in chronological order. Yes, it's something that, it's something I'm really trying to accomplish. But for you as a viewer, understand at the same time, this YouTube channel that you're watching, everything being shared, all of it is creating waves, as I've talked about, as I've mentioned before, right? And so the further I go in this story, I've told you that there are certain people out there that don't want this information put out there in a public, for the public to watch. They don't want, if you're not one of them, they don't want you to become aware of not only what I'm up against for my own life, but also, on the big scale of what's happening around all of us, where your life is being affected by these people just as much as mine is, except for me being me and all of everything I've been through and all the experiences I've had, everything I've learned, I'm a witness. I'm a witness that these bad guys did not count on surviving. They expected, all the attempts that they've made out of all these years that have passed, they have been expecting me to die. They have expected me to just no longer be part of this reality, all for the purpose of keeping their secrets buried and never allowing this information to come to light, meaning that you guys never get to learn about this stuff because they've been trying to control every aspect of information that they can. And so from a strategic standpoint, I'm aware of all of this, and I've also said I'm aware that I'm putting my life in danger by stepping on camera and being willing to point out these people and talk about what they've done. Not just to me, but also what I've learned about things that they have done while they've been living their lives. Just messed up stuff that they've done and have been up to. So, just understand by speaking on camera, they know that I'm talking about this, which means they also know where I'm at all the time. I have people stalking me 24/7. I mean, they don't, when I say stalking me, I don't mean where they're just right outside my door, lurking in to where I can see, like, oh, I saw you. No, I'm talking about they have people parked, they're parked a considerable distance away, and they can just be watching me while they're sitting in their vehicle. They're always keeping tabs on my movements and where I'm going, right? And at the same time, they can have people that are just dressed up in casual clothes, just walking around like anybody else, and you could not tell the difference that they are one of the bad guys compared to just a neutral, normal person just going about their day. Okay, so these are variables that are very much real, as if, they're hiding in plain sight and they're keeping tabs on everything I'm doing. As far as I know, they either have microphones directly in my vehicle that, they may have broken my vehicle at different times, and they've installed microphones or cameras in little secret places that, I've never looked. I don't care, because that's part of the game. I don't care to look to try to find these things. And if there aren't microphones or cameras that they hid in here, well, there's my phone. There's technology where you can tap into a person's phone and you can hear whatever a person's saying as they're saying it. It's just like a mobile tracking device. That's what our phones are. They're essentially like mobile tracking devices, and if you have certain people's attention, they have the ability to tap into your phone, where it's essentially like a live stream microphone. Okay, so anytime I'm talking out loud in the van, it's like a live stream where they can hear me. But also, same time, the good guys are out there too, and they can hear everything. But I'm just talking about the bad guys. Okay, so there are these variables that have been taking place as far as me being monitored and stalked 24/7, where they're just looking for the when and where of how they might of being able to make their next attempt or their next move, trying to assassinate me or murder me, right? And so they did make another move just this January 31st, so Friday. And because of these things, I have to talk about them now because they are very significant. Because again, yes, it's important for me to share my entire story for everybody to learn and hear about, but remember, my overall objective by sharing my story is where eventually, whether you're law enforcement or military, eventually, while you're following my story, it's not about the destination, okay? It's not about me finishing the story where at the end, that's when everything happens. No, I'm giving you guys, law enforcement, giving you guys the pieces you need to where at some point in my story's timeline, you guys have enough evidence to turn around and start charging these people for the crimes that they've committed. So as I've said before, at least inside, out loud in my van, I don't know if I've said on camera, but I've said, for law enforcement, whenever you guys have what you need, you have the green light to go after these people. I've said, do not wait on me to finish my story as far as the total completion. We're looking at like probably over 100, 150, 200 hours worth of speaking. I have a lot of speaking left to do, and it's going to take a few months at a minimum, okay? I have a lot to talk about still, but right now, my game, my strategy is, as I've been telling my story, where at some point in my story, so long as law enforcement, military are following along, this is my testimony. I am 100% speaking as honestly as possible before Heavenly Father, where I have no intentions of lying or manipulating or deceiving any of you. I'm just giving you the facts as I see them, as these things have been happening, and as I've been able to put things together. And I'm saying for you guys as law enforcement or military, you guys have all the gadgets and technology and the abilities to really get into all these deeper layers of all these things I'm showing you, as far as tapping into the bad guys' communication devices, their phones, their emails, every aspect of their lives. You guys have had all this time to get all of that evidence and everything compiled together, and you've had all this time to get all of the different players on the board, all of the different bad guys that are out there, to get them identified, to really get this entire web that I've been talking about, get the entire web of bad guys identified, and then you can, hopefully you have them all identified and tracked. You know exactly where they're at, and it's just a matter of the when and where when you guys actually make your moves. And so this is the purpose of this video, because, if people are actually trying to murder me, like live, like every single week that goes by, there's bad guys out there trying to get at me if they can. Every month that goes by, they at least try 1 or 2 or 3 different times, maybe if not more, to try not only silencing me, but outright making me disappear, right? And so I'm just turning around, because these past 10 days, dude, I've been fighting for my life. These past 10 days, it's felt like I'm suffocating. Like whatever, I say I got poisoned. I mean, I'm very much going to be elaborating on all this and telling you guys in great detail about all this stuff that's happened. But I'm just, kind of this little intro, this past 10 days, like it's felt like I'm suffocating. Like, even though I can breathe, it feels like my lungs are not taking in the oxygen that I need. And so it just kind of feels like I'm suffocating. Over the past couple days haven't been as bad. I'm on the downhill as far as, the shit that I went through. It was really bad for like the first 4 days. And then these next few days have just been very uncomfortable for me. And I've been doing my best to just take it easy and not push myself very hard, and just try and relax as best as I can. And then as of yesterday and today, I'm almost feeling like my normal self, but my lungs are still kind of fucked up, and I'm not getting the oxygen that I normally get. So as we proceed forward in this video, if at any point in time I just start coughing, or I got to cut the camera because I feel like I can't breathe. Just, this is a product of whatever it was that they tried doing on the 31st. Okay, so I'm going to be exposing a lot of stuff in regards to my family, my dad, my mom. I'm not really going to be talking much about my sister, because I haven't really been talking to my sister, and I have no idea anything about her situation, but specifically my mom and dad in this video. This video might end up being 3 hours long, so for whoever you are, just get comfortable and be prepared to, put your thinking cap on, detective mode, investigation mode, whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to be trying to lay out these little pieces for you, and I'm very much intending on attaching screenshots of the text messages that my mom and I have been exchanging all the way back to around Christmas time. Around Christmas time, I was in Arizona, right? Okay, so we're going to be starting around that point, and then we're going to be talking about everything that's happened all the way up until February 10th. And so for any of you who just don't know, you just don't know my reasons or why. You don't know why I left Arizona, and you don't know why I came all the way back to Oregon, and you don't know why I'm on the Oregon coast right now. Well, there's a lot of reasons as to why I drove 1,250 miles all the way back to Oregon. Very specific reasons. It wasn't just a spontaneous decision to just, leave Arizona and go on another road trip and relocate. No, it was a very specific reason why I came back to Central Oregon, and then eventually moved over to the Oregon coast, and where I'm positioned right now. I am moving from a very strategic point of view. Every action I take, everything I do, I am just trying to survive and navigate my way, through this crazy shit that I'm in right now. I've told you I'm in the very middle of spiritual warfare. I'm in the very middle of something that's really messed up, and it's not necessarily just about me. It's about some messed up stuff that's happening around the United States and around the rest of the world, obviously. But specifically here in the United States, we're in a real crisis. And if you know anything about my story, me being in the position that I'm in is not an accident. It's not a coincidence. Everything that's happened, it's all happened for a reason, and it's all been leading to where we're at today, February 2025. Everything has been leading towards where we're at today, okay? And so from a strategic perspective, I'm saying that these bad guys really want to make me disappear, and they really are trying to fucking murder me. And they just tried again, right? And so rather than, this last video that you watched, rather than me just ignoring these things that just happened to me as far as them trying to murder me, rather than just ignoring that and not telling any of you about it and just continuing forward talking about Kelly and my trip down to Eureka, California in 2019, we have to put it on hold for now, and we're going to talk about the serious shit that's been happening fast forward here in 2025. Because there's no way that I'm going to, these people that are doing it, there's no way I'm going to let them just continue doing it to me, continue making these attempts on my life, while you as a viewer, you don't even know that they're doing this stuff to me. You don't even know that this is happening to me as I'm trying to share this with you, while you're just focused on my story that I'm sharing, it's from 2019, as far as where we're at on the timeline. So if I have you mesmerized with these events that were taking place back in 2019, and I'm not letting you know about what's happening right now as a product of talking about them, then then this is where the bad guys can essentially, you've heard about the hidden hand, where essentially I'm showing this to you, and then in the background, the bad guys are lurking around with a knife. They got a knife in there. You got the other hand, the hidden hand. You got the revealed hand. This is what you see. And the hidden hand, this is what you don't see. So while I'm telling you this, pretend, and then say I'm a bad guy all of a sudden, it's essentially a bad guy. The bad guys are going to be trying to flank around you guys as much as they're trying to flank around me, while we're distracted on the story I'm telling you, which is when they cleverly, deceptively try and make their attempts on my life or your guys' lives, whoever you are. If you're part of this investigation, you need to be making sure you're staying safe just as much as I am, because if you're becoming aware of these things as I'm sharing it with you, and you're starting to see the big picture as far as, holy shit, all these bad guys out there, and they're just hiding in plain sight, and it's really difficult to know who's who. This is me warning you, pay attention to your own surroundings, because they are trying to get me. And if they do manage to get me, and you see my dead body on the ground and I don't come back alive, and all of a sudden I flatline and I'm out, I'm just warning you all, once I'm out, just look at all the time and energy and effort they have put towards me to bring me down. All of the time and energy and resources they've allocated to literally focus on me and get me gone. Well, if they get what they want and I'm gone, I'm dead, all of that time and energy, manpower, resources that they have been allocating on me, well, all that time and energy, they're freed up. Now they can just turn around and shift gears and focus on every single one of you who's not one of them. So if you're not one of their friends and you haven't pledged allegiance to them, you think you're just gonna go live your life and go live your life in peace and go enjoy the rest of your years in peace? No. As soon as I'm gone, all of this fucked up stuff that's happened to me, they're gonna turn around and start doing it to you guys. And they're probably gonna get away with it because there's not gonna be anybody like me out there pointing them out. So it's a very dangerous and delicate game I'm in right now. Same with you guys. So if you're watching my videos, by default, you're connected to this giant web, which means it's very important for you to wake up if you're not, and to pay attention if you haven't been, and to get on my side if you're on the wrong side, or you haven't even chosen a side and you're just free floating through this life, not paying attention to anything that's going on. That's up to you. But I'm saying, if they end up murdering me, and all of a sudden my spirit is out and I'm done, I'm no longer here, nobody has to worry about Brandon anymore, right? But I'm just saying, those bad guys that just did all that shit that nobody wanted to acknowledge, nobody wanted to even admit it, nobody wanted to be honest, nobody wanted to help me or whatever, I'm just saying they're going to come after all of you, even your children. Even your children, they're going to go after your children, where later down the road or whatever, don't be surprised if you and your family and your children, all of you, end up as slaves, mind, body, and soul, for the rest of your existence. Okay? Like I said, so this video is really going to be focused mostly around my mom and my dad. Okay? I'm going to be mentioning Dan and Kelly. You'll hear Dan and Kelly's name mentioned. You'll read You'll read Dan and Kelly's name in these text messages and stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you. But I'm just saying, in this video, the focus is on my family, my own mom and dad. Okay? So, I mean, it just depends on who you are and what you can retain based off what you've already watched on my YouTube channel. The more you remember, the more you can keep, the more that you have stored in your mind, that you can, you're keeping tabs on all these things and you can remember a good chunk of it, or maybe you've been writing notes on your own computer, or you got your own tablet of paper and you've just been keeping notes. I don't know, but anyways, this video, I mean, there's always a million things I can talk about, and as far as where am I going to start, I'm just picking about a month-long window, just a little bit more than a month, but I'm just going to be talking about what's really happened in this last month that really led to their latest attempt on my life, just this past January 31st. And so I'm just going to be leading you down this path, and I'm going to be showing you a bunch of different examples / text messages that have been exchanged between my mom and I, where by the end of this video, maybe you will not only believe me, but maybe I will give you what you need to take action, because I do need help really bad right now. I mean, I'm in a really tight spot, and today's the 10th. I said today's February 10th. Well, February 8th, 2 days ago, I ended up texting my first thing in the morning, at sunrise, after, I'm still feeling like shit, just coming out of this almost dying. Well, on February 8th, I ended up messaging my mom early in the morning, and I just called her out. I called my mom out, and I called out my entire family. But, I'm speaking to my mom, but I essentially called her out, my dad out, my entire family out. Accused them of trying to have me murdered, and more or less I have essentially disowned my entire family. The Durgan line, my sister, her last name is Conkey, so the Conkeys and the Bibies, everybody that's within my family are disowned right now because of what they have tried doing, and the fact that after all of this time, I got arrested in 2019. I got released in 2020. And from 2020 through 2025, not one single person has come forward, and not one person has been honest with me. Not one person has given me a single answer about what is even going on. I got released from Humboldt County on parole, and ever since then, not one single person has given me a single fucking answer as to what happened or why things happened the way they did. I got set up, I got entrapped, I got put into the cage, and I had to serve 12 months. My life got destroyed, and then when I got out, nobody would even talk to me and treating me like I'm the villain, treating me like I'm the bad guy, and I'm just sitting here like, what the fuck, you guys? I didn't do anything other than trying to point out people. All I did was had people people trying to murder me, people just Dan telling me I had a hit on my life, and all this fucked up stuff happening. All I've been trying to do is communicate and point my finger at him and ask for accountability, ask for some type of accountability and justice to be served, because there's a whole bunch of people out there, elitists, people who have a lot of money, who perceive they can do whatever the fuck they want to whoever the fuck they want, and because they have money, they can buy people off, bribe people, blackmail people, essentially do whatever the hell they want without ever being held accountable for the crimes that they're committing. And so, all I have done since 2019 is just like, you guys, I've been asking, not only have I been asking for help, going to the Redmond Police Department, the FBI. How much time have I put on my camera, just speaking on camera and on Instagram, just talking about all of this stuff and asking for help. And for ever since I even before I got arrested, but specifically after my release in 2020, for 5 years, nobody has come forward to tell me anything. Not one person has had the courage to walk up to me and be honest with me about what's actually going on. Everything I have learned and attained, I have learned and attained it on my own, just by the sheer willpower of continuing to fight. Even if it means it's just my dog and I, and it's just us versus everybody else, I've had the sheer willpower, the ambition, the strength, the perseverance to just push through all of these barriers and obstacles and challenges and setbacks and murder attempts that I have encountered along the way, and to continue as I have been since 2019, pointing my finger at these people that have done these things to me, and I still remember. I have a good fucking memory. I can't remember everything, and there's no way for me to claim that I can. I'm just telling you, I remember a lot. I remember enough to tell you guys what happened and who I suspect is 100% responsible. That's all I've been doing, and by doing that, they continue trying to murder me, and I'm still asking for law enforcement to help me. You guys, I'm just shoveling spoonfuls into your own plate and your own bowl, spoonfuls of information to give you what you need to go, to hold these people accountable, to, giving you what you need to start tacking on criminal charges, full-on felony charges, where you can literally make all of these people who are involved disappear for the rest of their life. I give you what you need. I have already, but you guys have what you need to charge them and give them a life sentence in prison or a state mental hospital. Either or, I don't care, but otherwise getting them removed from the game board so that everybody who is innocent, everybody who has not been part of this, all of us, we can go live our lives in peace from this point forward to the best of our abilities. I'm not saying all of the problems are going to be solved systematically. There's still going to be a whole lot of work to do and a whole lot to address. But as far as these people who are directly involved, who are undermining everything, kicking people's feet out from under themselves, and then stabbing people in the back, oh my God, these people need to be gone. They don't deserve to be in this reality sharing it with all of us. So if you're a law enforcement officer, if you're in law enforcement or military and you consider yourself a good apple, you consider yourself a good person, you consider yourself honest and somebody who operates with integrity, if you're amongst the good side, this is me giving you what you need to go get these people, right? But at the same time, there's always bad apples out there, and they're going to do everything in their power to, try and disrupt my credibility, to always continue trying to get you guys to not listen to me, don't give me a minute of your time, plug your ears, that type of thing. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. That's what they're trying to put in your brain. So anytime you find me, you just assume I'm the bad one, and you start listening to these other people who are pretending to be good, but they're actually the bad ones. They're sadistic as fuck. Sadistic as fuck, man. I mean, it's not even a fucking joke. And obviously it's not a joke, dude. They're trying to fucking murder me, and then they're going to try and enslave all of you. That's nothing to joke about, man. And so, anybody that's trying to say that I'm crazy, why would I waste my time putting my life on the line, on camera, talking about this? If I was just a crazy person, dude, you wouldn't even be able to understand anything I'm talking about. If I was just a crazy person, none of this stuff I've been pointing you towards would make any sense. But if everything I have been sharing with you, these 70 hours I have put on my YouTube channel, if it has helped you in different ways, well, am I really the bad one? As far as I'm aware, the bad ones are it's all flippy floppy, right? And it's just up to you to have the discernment, the critical thinking skills to be able to tell the difference between the two, right? And so, with all of that said, like I said, the focus is on my mom and my dad. But I'm going to be talking about a whole bunch of other stuff that happened that pretty much led me in the direction that I've gone. And I've said we're only going to just be covering about this a month-long span, a little bit longer than a month, but it's essentially we're starting around Christmas time. So Christmas time, let's see. I will show the video, the text message, but I have to read it. You know, I got my phone, I got to read it. So this is a text message that, on December 25th, so on Christmas Day, at 10:28 a.m., I had not heard from my mom. Let's see. You know, my mom has been playing this game with me, or I have had this. I'll read the text in a message. I gotta give a little bit backstory, a little bit. So, I had caught my dad on June 14th. So back in 2024, I've already talked about this. I'm not even gonna waste time, but my father tried, you know, he drugged my dog and tried setting me up to get into an altercation that would have otherwise led to me getting arrested for a domestic disturbance or domestic violence. That's what he tried doing, but I caught him red-handed. Okay, so that was back on June 14th, 7.5 months ago, 240 days ago, right? 240 days ago is when this happened, and I've been in my van for 7.5 months, okay? And so for 7.5 months, I've been speaking on camera, right? And so I've said before that I caught my father, but I've also said I'm not sure about my mom. I've said that there are things about my mom that would give my mom an excuse or justification or reasons for not being aware of what's going on or not having the energy to help me with it, where she's just kind of just been trying to take care of herself and her dog, but she's also been helping me as I've been asking for it. So this whole time I've been, even though I have caught Jerry, I not only have I caught Jerry, I've confronted Jerry and I've told him I've told him to his face that he belongs in prison. My mom was in attendance at the house listening to this conversation, so she was there as I was lecturing and confronting Jerry. So she's always been around as Jerry and I have been going back and forth at each other. And so with that said, I've always been suspicious. There have been a lot of things that have happened in the past 12 months that has aroused my suspicion about my mom's, not only her awareness of what's going on, but also her involvement. There have been things that happened in the past 12 months where my mom has slipped a few different times, and because she slipped, that has revealed a whole lot to me, as in the context that her and my dad might full on have been working together hand in hand. Where my dad's doing all this fucked up stuff, where every single time my dad does something messed up and I go and try and tell my mom about it, well, she gaslights the shit out of me and outright just says she doesn't believe me, or that she doesn't remember, or that she's just not sure about any of that, or she outright just tells me that she's worried about me, about my mental health, that I might need help. So she just does all these manipulative things as far as trying to play mind games with me to try and de-escalate me and my suspicion about Jerry. Anytime Jerry does something bad and I catch him, her job is to literally disarm me and get me to just let it go as if it never fucking happened, and to try and get me to doubt myself and my own experiences. She's trying to get me to doubt what I saw. That's been her point. That's been her whole position as I've been catching on. And if you think about the game chess and the pieces on the board, well, as an analogy, well, if you say Jerry's the king on the chessboard, well, Cindy is the queen on the chessboard, and she's just been protecting him because, you know, if you play chess, well, the goal is to knock the king off the board, but the queen can do a whole lot of shit across the board that the king can't. The king can only move one space at a time, while the queen can go diagonally, front, backwards, and can go across the entire chessboard at any given time. So even though I caught Jerry, it's Cindy who's been protecting him, my mom. And so this is where we're really going to be going in this video. Before we really dive in and I start sharing these text messages with you, understand I have over 7 months worth of text messages that I have documented between my mom and I. So ever since I got in my van, and it was like the 21st of June, and then I left Oregon right around the end of June. So ever since I got in my van and left Redmond, got away from my family, I have been documenting, and I have it all as far as every single text message exchanged between my mom and I. I have every intention of sharing the entire thread with you guys, but that will take too long. And so right now, I'm essentially just going to be sharing the text messages that we've exchanged from December 25th up until today, February 10th. So there's going to be a lot that you guys I'm not going to be able to give you right now, but just know later down the road, after this video is over, and then we shift gears again, and I go back to 2019, and we continue talking about Kelly. Well, remember, I'm telling my story, right? I have my plan of telling my story in chronological order. Well, once we get through 2019, and we get through my incarceration and my release in 2020, well, once we get after my release, and I return back home to Central Oregon, December 2020, okay? So from 2020 through 2024, all of that was time spent at my mom and dad's house. So with this story I'm telling you, once we get to that part of the timeline, understand I am leading you to present day. After, I'll tell you about what happened in 2021, 2022, through 2023, and then I'll really start getting into 2024, like the nit and gritty stuff, going into detail about a lot of stuff that I haven't even talked about on camera yet. There's so much you guys don't even know yet that because I haven't talked about it on camera. So I'm saying once we get to that part of the timeline, and I'm talking about 2024, and then eventually the story will arrive to where we're at today, 2025. And once we reach this part of the timeline where, February 10th, where I'm speaking right now, and we revisit all of this stuff, and this is the time where I have disowned my family. February 8th, I have officially disowned my family. I have no love for any of them right now, because as far as I'm aware, they've all tried having me murdered. So they're all disowned. I don't care what happens to them. Every single person in my family can literally go to prison right now, and I wouldn't care. If they are all involved, I have no qualms with law enforcement arresting my entire family line and shipping them off to prison. That's where we're at right now. Okay, so this is a pretty severe thing. That's a pretty severe thing to say on camera, which I very much intended sharing on YouTube. So it means that once this does hit YouTube, who do you think is going to watch the video? Probably a bunch of my family. So they're going to watch me saying in a public setting, as far as this is going on YouTube, and who knows who the fuck is going to watch this, they're going to hear me saying that I have no qualms with my entire family getting sent to prison or a mental hospital. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Whoever is involved, if anybody in my family that's not involved, okay, well, not them, but everybody else, yes, for sure. Anybody that's signed off and has participated in trying to murder me or frame me and entrap me and set me up, I ain't got no issues with it. Take them, haul them away, boys. Get rid of them, because they're really doing some bad stuff. And by them trying to remove me, like I said, if they remove me and all of a sudden I'm gone, all the bad guys out there, part of the big web, they're going to shift their focus, their time and energy and resources and manpower, and they're going to start coming after all of you who are not one of them. They're going to come after you and try and enslave you and your wife or your husband and all of your children, and that's going to be your life for the rest of your life if it happens. So this is some very severe shit, and I'm doing my best, absolute best, to not only survive and keep fighting, but to give you guys the information that you need, everything you need as far as a testimony, a full-on, honest testimony, where Heavenly Father is my witness that this is all honest and accurate information, meaning that you guys can turn around and use this as honest information to where you can go and charge these people with the crimes they've committed. So that's where we're at. I'm going to have to pause real quick, and then once the video starts, we're going to be talking about these events that have happened, and we're going to be picking up from December 25th. So remember, even though I'm going to be sharing text messages with you guys, and you probably want to know about all my other text messages from before that, well, this, I will eventually share the entire thing, but it's not going to be till much later down the road. This is just a video that has to be shared right now, and I have to interrupt my flow of everything, and we have to talk about this right now. Okay. It's really important for you to understand that my mom is aware of more than you can possibly fathom. It doesn't really matter if she plays stupid or she says she can't remember. It doesn't matter what she says, because when it really comes down to it, if we're just going to pick a timeline from the day I returned home to Central Oregon, December 2020, after my 12-month incarceration, and I finally made it back home where I've been living with my mom, or had been living with my mom from the end of 2020, all the way until June 2024, right? In that timeline, I have given my mom not tens, I'm talking like maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 hours of my time where I'm just sitting down next to her, explaining things, explaining everything I can possibly explain to her to try and get her on my side and to stop listening to Jerry, to stop listening and falling under the influence of her husband, who she's been married to for over 40 years, and trying to get her to pay attention. Like, your husband has done some really messed up stuff, and I'm very confident he's tried having me murdered in the past, like all these things. And all this time, she's just denied it all the time. Deny. And it always comes back around on me, where she just gaslights the shit out of me and is trying to twist my mind to get me to let everything go and to forget about all of it and to just go move on with my life and go get a job, move out sometime, start renting my own place, go get married, go have children, and forget about all of it. Just leave them alone. That's like what she's been trying to do. And so I'm saying, out of all of this from 2020 till June 2024, I have given my mom a lot of time, so much time to where I can't even talk to her anymore without her saying that she's heard it all and she's tired of hearing me repeat myself. So the fact that she has always been telling me she's tired of hearing me repeat myself and that she's already heard it before, I'm saying, so whoever you are, if you're law enforcement or anybody, and you ever ask her, she can't play stupid. It doesn't matter what she says. It doesn't matter. She cannot just play stupid and then you feel sorry for her and then just allow her to walk free, her and Jerry. It's a fucking mind trap. It's called manipulation, right? And so this is stuff that I have outright, just 2 days ago, outright called her out on it. I've called her out. You will get to read the text later in the video. So just when I'm telling you this stuff, this isn't just me being emotional, flying off the deep end. No, this is me being precise. These are all me doing what I'm doing, everything that I'm doing, very calculated moves. For 7.5 months, everything that I've gone through has been building up to today, to this moment, to where at some point my mom is going to play those hands. She's going to play those cards one too many times. And then I'm just going to no longer believe her. I'm going to full on 100% be confident that her and Jerry are in it together. It's not just Jerry being a shithead and then turning around and doing bad stuff to my mom and then she's just a victim out of all of it. No, they're equally fucked in the mind, right? That's been the game for me for these 7.5 months. Because there's just been one person that I've been really trying to figure out as far as their involvement on whether they're on this side or that side. And I've been trying to figure out my mom. Trying to figure out if my mom's just in a really shitty situation and she's just doing her best and she just can't tell me anything because that might put me in danger or put herself in danger where bad things would happen. I don't know. That's what I've been wondering, and that's what I've been trying to figure out. And I've also I've been made aware over these last 12 months and a little bit before that, I've been aware of this alternate scenario where my mom might not even be on my side. Her and my dad might be equally messed up in the head and they're just working together to try and get me quiet And if I can't, get me quiet and just go move on with my life and stop talking about everybody that's been involved with all this, or if I refuse to do that, they both of them have no qualms with trying to have me murdered. So therefore, all of these secrets get buried under the rug and nobody ever finds out, right? So I'm saying, as we really just jump in, understand, as I proceed forward, do not look at my mom as if she's some poor little old lady that's some victim and I'm just picking on her and that I'm just gone off, that I've just gotten mad and now I'm just doing this. No, me doing what I'm doing, very calculated moves. I've been fighting my ass off, not only just to survive, but also get to the bottom of this, to where once the time comes, when I'm speaking on camera as I am now, I can confidently come forward and share this stuff with you guys to help you guys with the missing pieces if you don't have them, or if you've literally just been waiting on me to figure it out as I've needed to, because there are things that I have needed to figure out on my own without anybody telling me. And this has been part of the process for me, waking up, or not only waking up to myself, but also what's going on around this world and figuring out who all's involved with this messed up stuff. Me figuring out my mom's involvement has been part of the process of figuring it out for myself. And there might be a whole lot of people that have already known and do know, and they have known that they can't tell me or else they would get in trouble or bad things would happen to them. But they've at least been protecting me to keep me alive, where eventually, once I figure it out for myself, I can turn around and give my testimony. So therefore, law enforcement and military, they can do what they need to do without any type of meddling or anything that's, stuff that can kind of jeopardize the whole thing. They've been protecting me, but they've also been hands off strictly to allow me to figure it out for myself. So this is me turning around and sharing my results, my findings, my observations, my experiences. These are things that it's all just coming into fruition, where these bad people, they're just getting exposed left and right. And I've just been searching and looking for my mom, just waiting for my mom to stumble or reveal herself as in some malevolent way, where I no longer have any doubt in my mind that, yeah, her and Jerry are in it together. And that's where we're at now, because after all this time's passed and all the energy that I've given my mom, maybe even over 100 hours of my time collectively, where I've just been sitting down talking to her about everything, okay? So she can't play as this little old innocent lady. So whoever when you look at her, if you ever see a picture of her or anything, you can't feel sorry for her. She's made her bed, just like Jerry, just like my sister and my entire family. They've all made their bed, so there's no feeling sorry for anybody, because they've literally tried having me murdered. They've tried having my dog, they've tried kidnapping my dog. They've tried murdering my fucking dog just to fucking make me be entirely alone. Try to murder my dog so I'm on my own with no type of emotional support. That's fucked up, right? So here we go. We're going all the way back to December 25th. Okay, that's Christmas. Up until that point of Christmas, while I was in Arizona, before Christmas, I arrived in Sedona, Arizona on November 4th. So from November 4th all the way to Christmas, I had multiple attempts on my life. They tried murdering me a few different times while I was camping out at BLM outside of town. They tried doing this stuff. I haven't really talked about it much on camera because it hasn't been time yet. Even though these fucked up things have been happening and they actually have tried fucking murdering me, I haven't really gone in, even talked about it on camera. And that's part of my strategy. That's part of my game I've been playing, is even though some of this messed up stuff's been happening, I've been kind of hush-hush on some of this stuff on camera while I've been focused on getting this chunk of information delivered on my YouTube channel. If you think about all the videos I shared during the month of December and this first little chunk of February, all of that stuff had to be shared first. There's certain things where when it comes time to making a video and I'm trying to think about what I want to share next, there are times I just pray. There might be times where I want to speak today, but I'm not really sure what direction to go. So rather than speaking at all that day, I won't speak until the following day. I'll spend the entire day just praying and then listening, and allow my thoughts and this energy to just, this energy to hit my brain, and then all my thoughts to just kind of get organized. And then once I have what I need as far as the idea, the topic and the theme of what I'm going to talk about on camera, once I got it, well, then it's just a matter of, the following day, just put in the time in front of the camera, whether it's like 3 or 4 hours or 9 hours, however long it's going to take. So if you just look at the video, all those different videos that I shared, like What Is This Life, parts 1 through 6, you had Heaven, Hell, Karma, and Reincarnation. You had all these different videos that I put on there. And all of that information that I did share, all of that had to be shared first before I could get us to where we're at now. So again, I'm moving from a very strategic perspective. Of everything I'm doing is very calculated. Okay, so I'm saying, from November 4th all the way up until Christmas, up until that point, the bad guys, whoever all is involved in that web, they had already attempted my life a few different times. I just didn't talk about it. I'm going to at some point later down the road, so don't worry about this stuff. It's just not now, okay? So on December 25th, even though all these things had happened and I'm aware of all of it, I'm still playing a game with my mom. Okay, so I up until December 25th, so from all the way from when I got in my van 7 months prior, that entire time span, the only contact I was having with my mom was text messaging. For 6 months, not one single time was I speaking to her on the phone. 100% text. That way it could all just be documented on my text messaging thread, right? So I could eventually share it if my mom ends up exposing herself, where at some point, I got all of this stuff and I'm going to turn around and share it at some point. So all the way up until December 25th, I've been aware of all these things, and I've been playing a very deep strategic game. And even though during that 6 months or whatever, while I've been in my van and I've been texting my mom, relaying all of this information to her, trying to tell her what's going on, asking for her help, giving her every opportunity in the world to walk away from her husband, to show me that she is on my side, or kick Jerry out of the house and force him to just go off on his own to show me that she's on my side. So all this time had passed and she had not done that at all. Not done that at all, and she was just still maintaining her position. She was defending Jerry and accusing me of just being, she doesn't believe me. She says she just doesn't believe me, and that she's concerned that I need psychological help, right? So that's just gaslighting and deflection. If you just go look up narcissism, all those different keywords, gaslighting, deflecting, blame shifting, stonewalling, all these different terms that are associated with people who are narcissists. Well, she was doing all of those things, ghosting me. My entire family was ghosting me, all the way up until just earlier this week. My 37th birthday was this February, right? So this entire 7.5 months that I've been in my van, I haven't heard from my sister a single time. So I'm saying, when I'm talking to my mom all this time, well, not once was I hearing from Jerry, and the entire time I've been in my van struggling and having people try murdering me and stuff, well, my sister is completely missing. Just completely missing, as if she doesn't even care. As if she's not even acknowledging why I'm in my van to begin with. Not even once contacting me to ask me about my perspective, therefore to show me that she's just a neutral, she's neutral and she has nothing to do what's going on between Jerry and myself. As everything's been going forward, it's just showing me that my entire family is not only aware, but they're all involved and have signed off on all of this shit. They're just trying to make me disappear to preserve whatever they got, right? And so just understand, as I start reading these text messages, things might start making sense a little bit, because again, my mom is fully aware of everything I share with her, everything I've shared with her. And by sharing everything with her, who do you think she turns around and shares it all with? Who do you think she might just hand the phone to and allow to read the text message? Jerry. So between the two of them, they're just reading the messages, and then they're talking together about how they should respond, right? And then they're probably keeping my sister in the loop on all of it too. So they're, all of them are talking amongst each other on how to respond to my text messages. Okay, that's pretty fucked up, but all the same. So on Wednesday, December 25th at 7:45, so Christmas morning. Christmas morning, I'm alone. It's just me and my dog. You know, I'm all alone on Christmas, have nobody to talk to. And then going in, you know, wake up Christmas morning, I have no reason to believe I'm going to receive a single text message or any contact from anybody telling me Merry Christmas. You know, it's like I'm dead. It's like I'm a walking ghost. I'm down in Sedona. I got my van and it's just my dog and I, but otherwise I'm being treated as if I don't exist by everybody, right? Why? That's weird. I don't know. But all the same, I'm trying to be the bigger person. I'm also trying, you know, because I am hoping, you know, I'm hoping for the best case scenario that my mom is just in a bad situation where at some point she might be on my team or get on my side. So I'm continuing to speak to her, you know, in a loving, caring way. And I'm being respectful to her. I'm not accusing her of anything. I'm relaying stuff to her as things are happening. I'm just giving her information, letting her know what's happening to me while I'm down in Sedona. So her and I, like, is at face value, when I start reading these text messages, it's going to look like just like nothing's wrong. There's nothing amiss, right? So when I start sharing this and you're reading it at face value, if you don't know all of this stuff is happening in the background and you don't know where I'm operating from, you know, while I'm texting her, I'm aware of all this shit I've already described on camera, you know, everything you've heard so far on camera, you're aware of all this stuff happening in the background, right? So every time I'm texting my mom, this is where I'm operating from. I'm kind of like fishing. I'm fishing a little bit. I'm treating her just as I would a loving, caring mom, the mother I've known my entire life. I'm trying to treat her with the respect and love and all of that as I possibly can. And I'm being honest with her as I possibly can. I'm just not telling her where I'm operating from. I'm not telling her that I'm getting very fucking suspicious that you're directly involved, Cindy. I'm breaking through this illusion, this lie, all these lies and stuff you guys have been spinning and weaving for all this time. I'm getting through all of it, and I'm gonna figure out where you stand, Cindy. So on Christmas morning at 7:45 a.m., I said, "Merry Christmas, Mom. Love you." Okay. She replies back and says, "Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. I love you too. Wish you were here and happy with us both." And then right after she sent that text message, she sent me a picture of my niece and nephew, so my sister's children. And, you know, you would think she might send me pictures from something that they're doing around Christmas time. You know, they go sledding or cut down a Christmas tree. You know, if they're opening gifts, you'd think she'd send me pictures of maybe what they did the previous night for Christmas Eve. You know, my mom and dad go over to my sister's house Christmas Eve. They open gifts, have dinner, and just hang out and stuff. You'd think that's what she would send me. If she's going to send me any pictures, you think she'd send me something Christmas related, right? But what do you think she sent? Well, she sent me a picture of, the top is my nephew. They're in their Halloween costumes. So my mom sent me pictures from when Halloween. So why is she sending me Halloween pictures of my niece and nephew? So there's a picture of my nephew and his, whatever that is, his ghoul. He's a little monster, right? And then my niece, and she's wearing a skeleton costume with an axe, right? And she says, "This is Tyler at Halloween. I thought it was funny." That's what she said. So, you know, I tell her, "Merry Christmas, Mom," and she replies, "Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. I love you too. Wish you were here and happy with us both. This is Tyler at Halloween. I thought it was funny." That's what that was her response to me saying, "Merry Christmas, Mom." And then so that's messed up, right? And then, you know, this is part of Hayden's costume, and then she sent me a picture of her little wiener dog, Skippy. Skippy is adorable. I really like Skippy. He's a good boy, and he's stuck in a shitty situation right now. And then she says hello. Oh, I guess she's saying hello as if she's speaking as if she's Skippy. But anyway, she replies and says, "You remember the room in Oceanside we stayed in overlooking the beach? The listing shows it at over $1,000 with no availability for months. All the other rooms went up too, but not that high. I knew it was an ideal view. I guess we won't be going there again. And so I replied, Skippy is so cute. I hope he's doing good. Yeah, that's insane that the prices for the room have gone up that high. Seems like every month is becoming busy as there's such an influx of people moving from all these undesirable locations and states, right? And so because she sent me a few pictures, well, I kind of... stupid timer. And because she sent me those pictures of Tyler and Hayden, and you know, my niece and nephew, and her little dog Skippy, I ended up just sending a couple pictures of my dog. You know, we're out in BLM. You know, he's just laying out, and you know, we went out to BLM for Christmas. You know, I think we did. Maybe we stayed in town Christmas Day. Can't remember. Oh yeah, obviously, because there's a picture of it. But anyways, yeah, you know, out in BLM for Christmas, just by ourselves. So I sent a couple pictures of my dog, and then sent her some other pictures that I had taken a few days prior out hiking with him. Okay, and so with that said, I was kind of really weirded out with the Halloween pictures that she sent me. You know, with everything, all the stuff that's been happening in the background. And also the fact, you know, my sister was born on Halloween. So my sister is 4 years older than me, and she was born on Halloween Day. Okay? So it's just something weird as far as my family, you know, as far as when we're talking about good versus evil and Heavenly Father versus Satan. Okay, well, what is Halloween? Halloween in itself that's like Satan's day. Like, Halloween is like Satan's favorite day, where, you know, the celebration of the dead and demons and witches. That's what Halloween is, right? You know, everybody knows that. Like, and so the fact that my sister was born on Halloween, and then, okay, so that's, you know, these are just strange variables, but, you know, with the situation as it is, the fact that even though I'm only communicating with my mom through text messages, and we haven't spoke on the phone for all this time. Well, it's Christmas Day, and I'm trying to be a bigger person by telling her happy, you know, Merry Christmas and stuff. And she turns around and shares Halloween pictures with me of Tyler and Hayden, and just, okay, that's strange. And so, you know, after this initial text messaging ended with my mom, you know, it just lasted a few minutes. I told her Merry Christmas, and she replied with the pictures, and then told me about the hotel room that they're wanting to reserve on the Oregon coast. Okay, so it's just kind of weird, man, because I'm out in BLM and I'm out on my own, and I've already had people try murdering me over the past few months, and all this stuff that's happened, and I'm literally on my own on Christmas with nobody to talk to, and that's what she sent me. Well, I was in my head for a little bit just thinking about this stuff, you know. I was just like, that's kind of weird, you know. It is just kind of weird. So at some point, just things kind of felt off, started feeling off. And so as a product of that, you know, my objective by being in my van, I've said I'm moving from a strategic standpoint, and everything I'm doing is calculated. Well, after thinking about these text messages she had just sent for a little bit, you know, I thought on it for probably about 3 hours, almost 3 hours. Eventually, I sent my mom another text message, so it's still December 25th, and it's at 10:28 a.m. Mom, whenever you are alone in the house next, you should either call me or text me, and then I'll call you. I've had something pop into my brain of which I want to talk to you about, but I don't want to have this conversation with you with your husband in the house. You can either go drive somewhere and call me, or just wait until you're alone in the house, and then we can talk. It's not urgent, nor an emergency, just whenever you find an opportunity to be alone. Okay? So, again, I'm trying to figure out if my mom is on my side, and she's just in a really shitty situation where she might just be outright terrified about what's going on, knowing these people that I'm involved with, terrified of the consequences where if she ends up telling me something that she's not supposed to, where she could become a victim of these sadistic fucks, like, you know, they do some really bad stuff to her, or anything, you know, just your imagination could go wild with all the messed up stuff that could happen if my mom started telling me stuff that she's not supposed to. So I'm trying to, right now, at this point in time, I was trying to figure out if my mom was in that situation where she's essentially like a hostage slash prisoner that needs to be saved slash rescued, or if she's just playing a very fucked up game against me, and her and Jerry are working together. You know, this is what I'm trying to get to the bottom to. Whether or not they are aware of that doesn't matter. It's what I'm trying to get to the bottom of so I can figure things out for myself, right? And then I can respond accordingly and navigate, move forward and navigate my way through this nightmare in as safe a way, as safely as possible, right? And so part of that is figuring out where my mom stands, because it's my mom, man. If there's anybody that you're going to be still connected to and tethered to in this reality, as far as having any type of emotional attachments and somebody that you really care for, it's probably you're going to be your mom. Any of you watching, yeah, you probably, anybody who loves their mom, you would definitely want to get to the, if you were me and you were in a situation like I was, and that'd be something you really want to know the truth about, of whether or not your own mom is part of it, or if she's an innocent victim slash hostage. Before you start pointing fingers at her and accusing anybody, you want to figure it out, but you're going to have to figure it out for yourself, which means playing a very, very strategic chess game like I have been. Okay, so after sending her that text message, I just kind of putting that out there, that message, Mom, whenever you're alone in the house next, you should either call me or text me, right? So the message will, for you as a viewer, I'll have the text message for you to read, so I don't need to repeat it. But, that message I sent, it can be taken either way. So if you're a good person and you read that, well, that would be a way to communicate with you that there's something I want to tell you without your husband around. So that way you and I can have a private conversation, because we haven't actually spoke on the phone for over 6 months, and I'm concerned about you, Mom. I'm worried about you, and I'm just wondering, by sending this text message, if you will seek out that opportunity to have a conversation with me, and you can, I'm going to ask you if you're okay, or if you're in a bad situation, and you can give me like a wink, or give me a little something to let me know that you need me, and I will literally drive up to Oregon and help you out of the situation. If Jerry is literally holding you as a hostage, I will literally go all the way to your house, and I will go into the house, and I will protect you while we get your shit packed, and we will leave, and I will go with you all the way back to your hometown in Centralia, Missouri. If you're in a bad situation, and you just can't tell me over the phone, but you can give me a little bit of a clue that you need help, I will be there for you. I will be there within 3 days. I will come into the house. Yeah, Jerry can fucking shoot me if he wants. I will go in the house. I'm not even going to talk to Jerry. I'm literally going to stay away from him unless he comes after me. But otherwise, I'm going to be there. I will help you pack your stuff because, she's 70 years old. And so if she did want to leave, well, she needs somebody who's physically able to help her get all of her stuff packed and loaded into her car. So I would be willing to go there and do that, fully knowing that Jerry might shoot me in the back. But at that point, if he murdered me in the house, well, he's going to go to prison for murder. So I'm not worried if he would murder me. It's not that thing. But, if my mom's terrified and she needs help, well, this is me kind of hinting at her. You're like, Mom, I will be there for you if you can. I didn't communicate that in the text, but this conversation I was wanting to have with her over the phone, if she could separate herself away from Jerry and her and I can just talk privately for a little bit, that's kind of what I was floating in the air, and I was wondering if she would actually call me, and then this conversation, what I'm telling you right now, that maybe our conversation would go accordingly, and she would let me know that, yeah, she wants to leave, and I will help her. I will literally drive all the way from Arizona all the way up to Oregon, help you get your stuff packed, and I will drive with you all the way to Missouri, all the way across, not all the way just up to Oregon, but now that I'm back to Oregon, I will turn around and drive all the way back across Oregon, across the state of Idaho, across the state of Utah, and then Colorado, and then Kansas, and all the way into Missouri, if that's what it takes to get you safe, Mom. To get you safe away from Jerry, so you can, at a minimum, you can go live with your brother out on his farm in that farming community that you grew up in. I will take you back to your roots, Mom, if that's what you need to get away from Jerry. That's what was in my brain, hoping that's, it's either way, either scenario, it's going to be messed up, but best case scenario, my mom is on my side. She's just in a shitty situation. Well, I just got to go help her out, get her out of there, and then maybe she can transplant back to her original hometown where she grew up, was born and raised, and then she can just get away from him. So this is where I'm coming from when I message her that, okay? So I message her on December 25th, right? And she would not message me back until, when was it? It was January. Oh, let me check real quick. Phone records. Oh yeah, it was the 31st. Yeah, she would not call me and follow up with that text message I sent her not until a week later. So I messaged her on Christmas Day. She would not call me until I would not get that phone call from her or even acknowledgement from that text message for an entire week, 7 full days. And then when I did hear from her, she just randomly, spontaneously called me without warning, and I wasn't expecting it, okay? But before we can really start talking about that stuff, so 2 days after, the 27th, 2 days after I had sent her that text message, well, I was still out in BLM. I was still out camping out in the desert with my dog. We stayed out in BLM from the 25th for 3 days, Wednesday through Friday. And then on December 25th, somebody tried poisoning Malaki. Malaki got into some poison out in the desert, this place that I had been going out to the same location outside of Sedona. There were some dispersed campgrounds, probably about a half hour outside of Sedona. And I had been going out there every couple weeks or so to just kind of get out of town and, I was doing recordings and I was trying to stay productive and just kind of get out of town a little bit. And so by going to the same place every time, I had a regular route that I would go take Malaki for walks / hikes out in the juniper trees where we go walk around and explore a little bit. And we would always go around the same locations. We weren't ever deviating anywhere because if you're familiar with like the type of vegetation and that grows in that area, well, there's a lot of thorns and thickets and cactus and all that shit that grows out in the trees and all that. So you can't really just go walk wherever you want because don't want Malaki to get stickers and cactus quills stuck in his feet. So I was always trying to take him places that would be accommodating to his paws, where he's kind of like any type of trails that we could find that was just in the area. So we were always walking the same routes. And I'm saying 2 days after I sent that text message, that Friday night, or that Friday, I'm pretty sure Malaki got poisoned. They tried murdering my dog. They had somebody that went out there and laid down some bait. If you think about hunting, and you think about people who do hunting and trapping. And so there's bait. You're trying to, different concoctions, different types of baits, and things that will lure in an animal just because, their nose gets overly curious. They smell something that's really something that, a dog smells. Okay, so Malaki found something that really got his nose, and he started licking some weird plant, not a weird plant, he just started licking some grass. Like we were walking, all of a sudden he caught a scent of something in this cheat grass, this dead tall grass, and all of a sudden he just like licking the shit out of it. Like he just all of a sudden he was acting like he was like in this hypnotic state where he just like full on licking this grass, and it was unnatural. And I saw it immediately. And I yelled at him to stop, and he wouldn't stop licking it. So I had his leash, like Malaki was off leash, and I threw my leash at him, and the leash hit him right in the head, and so it kind of scared him away. But it was poison, and that night some really messed up stuff happened, and I don't really know if I really want to talk about it right now. But it's all a spiritual thing, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I might have died that night. Like that night when I went to bed, that night, like I ended up encountering the Archangel Azrael, the angel of death. It was like I was laying in my bed and then it got dark, and then all of a sudden, as soon as it got dark, all of a sudden I just had this huge wave of energy hit me, as if I was communicating with, all of a sudden I was being visited by some archangel or some entity or something came into my van, and it was communicating with me, and it told me that Malaki had been poisoned earlier, and that now instead of Malaki being poisoned, all of a sudden I'm being told that I'm the one who's dead. And I was being told, like, Archangel Azrael was telling me, like, dude, you're dead right now. You're in a state of limbo, and it's because of this bond Malaki and I have, where Malaki is very valuable to me right now. I mean, just imagine me trying to live in my van. Just think about this entire path that I've been down for 7 years. Think about how far I would have gotten if I did not have my dog. Imagine where I'd be right now, say these last 7.5 months. Imagine how I would be psychologically and emotionally if I didn't have my dog. Imagine if I was literally on my own right now, right? Like on my own. And so this angel was telling me that because of this bond that Malaki and I have, rather than my dog dying, whatever it is, I'm the one who paid the price instead. Because of how valuable Malaki is, I learned that every single time, just looking in the past, every single time that these bad guys have tried doing something to my dog, whether poisoning him, sedating him, kidnapping him, trying to murder him, all of the combination of it, rather than my dog getting hurt or being injured or having medical issues or any of that stuff, all of that energy essentially bounces off my dog, and I'm the one who not only absorbs the energy, but at different times all of a sudden I'm in pain, all of a sudden I'm starting to have really, all of a sudden I'm having like really bad back pain, or just something happens to my physical well-being where for like a day or a few days I'm just don't feel well, or my energy levels just plummet. And all of it is just a product of something happening to my dog. Whatever it is energetically or spiritually, it's essentially bouncing off him, where rather than him feeling any bad stuff, rather than him dying, I'm the one that kind of absorbs the blow, if that makes sense. And so this Archangel Azrael literally explained this to me. I didn't even know I was dead. I had no idea. I'm just hanging out in my van. But excuse me. But I'm being told that I'm dead. By this, whatever it is, telling me that I'm dead and I'm in a state of limbo. And while I'm in this state of limbo, all this information's being communicated. And then at the same time, I'm being told that, because of all these sacrifices I have made, where at that very point in time, I was being told that I have an option of not being revived. I have an option of literally being allowed to go home to heaven that night. That night, it was communicated with me. It's like, Brandon, do you want to go home right now? If you want, you can go home. But if you also want to, we can revive you, and you will wake up like it never happened, and you can continue moving forward as you have been on your mission. And back at that time, so during Christmas, the following day, and that Friday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if you go on my YouTube timeline, I was working on What Is This Life parts 2, I was working on What Is This Life part 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there were 4 parts that went on my YouTube channel, the same between, I don't know, it was like a few days after the weekend or something. I don't know, you can get on my YouTube channel and you can look up the specific dates, but I had just previously done a bunch of recordings a few days prior, and I was planning on getting all of that shared on YouTube, like the following Sunday, Monday, if I could. But I'm talking about while I was talking to Azrael, the Archangel of Death, he was telling me I could literally go home. I've earned my ticket to go home, to go to heaven, where I could literally just say no more, and rather than excuse me, rather than just sitting in this state of limbo and then, eventually reviving and going back into my body, I could just leave if I wanted. And then I was also being given this option of being resuscitated and coming back to life. And so I made that choice to come back. I could have left, but I decided to come back again. And by coming back, I was allowing myself to share those videos that I had just recorded. So all of you who have watched all of those videos, well, had I chosen not to come back, well, you guys wouldn't have got those videos. Those videos would have never hit YouTube, and every video that I've shared since then would not have hit YouTube. I would have been gone. I would have been out of this reality, no longer here. Okay, I mean, there's a whole lot. I would really love to go into detail about all of this that night. But we're not there yet on the story, and there's so much more I have to tell you about past stuff for this type of, what I just told you about Archangel Azrael and crossing over and all that. In order for any of that really to make sense, I still have a lot to share with you guys before you guys are even mentally able to really grasp that. But I'm just telling you, that happened on the 27th. On the 27th, like that earlier that day, Malaki got into some poison. I knew he got into some poison. I could just tell. Like whatever it was he got into. After that happened, the entire rest of the day, I couldn't get it out of my mind. I just couldn't let it go. It was like, holy shit, I'm pretty sure that was poison. And I was concerned about him the entire rest of the day. And then that night, I got visited by the Archangel, telling me that I just died. Oh, wow, okay, okay, but I'm still in my van. I don't know I'm dead, but he's letting me know you're spiritually you're in a state of limbo. You see yourself still here, but we're just letting you know you're dead. You just let me know I'm dead, and you're just kind of filling me in. Okay, well, holy shit, this is a new experience. What the fuck, right? So that happened, right? So that was 2 days after I sent that message to my mom. But I did come back. I did choose to come back. While I'm in a state of limbo, everything just appears the same. You wouldn't know. And I was told, Brandon, when you go to sleep, when you close your eyes, I was laying on my bed. And when you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be like it never even happened. You will not even know that it happened, but we're just telling you, this just happened. And your dog is fine. All that, whatever, all the poison, he's fine. You're not even going to know that he got poisoned because you just took the blow, okay? Crazy shit, right? And how do you even articulate that or explain that to anybody that doesn't even know what you're talking about? You just come off as somebody that's kind of crazy maybe, right? So that's the whole point of what the bad guys are trying to, the bad guys are trying to twist your guys' perception to make you think I am. But, if you've made it this far in my channel, maybe by now you have things kind of, maybe more or less start having things put together about what I've been dealing with. I've told you before, this is spiritual warfare. And what's spiritual warfare? Well, spiritual warfare, that's spiritual warfare is everything that's happening in this reality that your human eyes can't see. I've already talked about this as far as what energy and frequencies are. Your eyes can only see a very small fragment of the entire electromagnetic spectrum. There is shit happening around us that you cannot fucking see. And so I know what it is. I've crossed over many different times, and I've also done a shit ton of psychedelics where I've tapped into all this stuff, so I know what's happening around us, even though, in a sober state of mind as I am now. Yeah, I can't see any of this stuff happening, but, I can't see all this stuff I'm talking about. I can sense it, and I can feel it, but as far as my human eyes, I can't see it. I see this world just like everybody else. Everything looks just like what everybody else sees, right? But I'm very tuned into things that my eyes cannot see. And all you got to do is understand that your eyes can only see like 1% of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, okay? And that's for something for you to you really have to grasp that. You cannot judge this reality literally based off what you see. If you're judging this reality based off what your eyes are seeing, well, you're fucking blind as shit, and you're missing 99% of this reality. Just so you know, you are missing out on 99% of this reality, and you can only see 1%. If that doesn't resonate in your brain, well, I don't even know why you're watching my videos, because my entire channel is geared towards spiritual warfare and psychological warfare, fucking Heavenly Father and the devil, and everything in between that. That's in my entire channel is this subject of conversation. And if you still can't grasp any of that and you're still walking around thinking I'm a crazy person, turn off my fucking video and get out of here. You don't belong. Get out of here. I don't want you here if you're one of those people. But if you are somebody who can't, you're starting to see the big picture. You're starting to see these things I'm alluding to, these things that I'm trying to show you, these things that I'm trying to help you see the big picture. If you're starting to see that, well, everything I'm sharing might start making sense. It's just very intense, right? This is very intense information. It's very deep information. It's, this is stuff that really hits you at your core. And I understand if it makes you uncomfortable, if this is stuff you have not been exposed to. And this is, the whole purpose of my channel is to make you aware of this stuff and let you know what's happening beyond what our eyes can see. As I've told you, everything I'm doing, I'm operating from a strategic standpoint. Everything I do is very calculated, and that goes into the spiritual realm. I pray every day, almost all day long. When I'm not on camera, I'm in my head, or I'm praying or speaking out loud, whatever. I am maintaining a dialogue with my guardian angels and my, and Heavenly Father and any other entities that are on our side. I am constantly maintaining dialogue with them. That's how I never get lonely. That's how I can literally go 7.5. That's how I can go 7.5 months in my van and not experience this emotion as far as feeling lonely, because I'm never fucking alone. I'm never alone. I am surrounded by all types of friends and support, and like I said, I've done psychedelics and I've tapped into things. Well, we've established communication. We have established dialogue where they can use telepathy to communicate with me, and they can fill me in on things that are happening behind my back that I don't know about. That's why I can just focus. This fucking vehicle next to me. Really? The shit I'm talking about, But this is how I can just, what a joke, man. A huge disruption to my flow right there. That dude next to me just fires up his vehicle, just leaves it sitting idling with the serpentine belt just squealing like crazy, and he just lets it sit there. For all I know, who knows? He could just be a normal person, just random person that just decided to fire up their vehicle and leave. Could also be somebody a bad guy that's been sitting here listening to me talk this whole time. And, I got my window cracked open, so they might be able to hear everything I'm saying, and I might just be making them very uncomfortable. And he was just like, fuck this, I ain't gonna sit next to this guy anymore. So he fires up his vehicle and takes off. I don't care. I really don't care, but that's what that noise was. It was somebody that was parked next to me that just fired up their vehicle and they took off. But anyways, so I'm just saying, it's just a matter of you believe in Heavenly Father and then the dark side, so you got Satan out there too and everything in between. It's just a matter of whether or not you believe all of this and you're a believer or you're a non-believer. And if you're a non-believer, everything I'm telling you as far as me establishing communication with the heavenly realms and the entities that dwell up there, and that they literally have the ability to communicate with me via telepathy, if you're a believer, you can get on board with that and be like, holy shit, that's a real thing? And I'm like, yes, it is. You can literally have guardian angels around you that are around, if you believe in guardian angels. Well, if you have a guardian angel, don't you think they have a personality? They have their own name and they have a personality. And don't you think that they could probably talk to you. Imagine if they could just materialize to where they would just look like a physical being, just like you're seeing me. Don't you think if they had that ability to just materialize to where you could just see them, all of a sudden they would just be talking to you like anybody else, just talking with you and hanging out with you and just bullshitting with you. Sometimes it's just bullshitting with you. Sometimes it's like they make jokes. They got good sense of humor, but they're just talking to you because they know everything about you, and they could be like your best friend. Say you're somebody who you don't even have any friends in your life. You feel like you don't have any friends. Well, if you were suddenly tapped into this other frequency and you had the ability to, see your guardian angel, don't you think your guardian angel would be able to just have a conversation with you? Like, dude, I'm your best friend, man. He's like, I'm your best friend. And then you could just talk. Well, if you believe and you're a believer and you believe in guardian angels and all the angels, well, is it too difficult to believe that they can still communicate with you with telepathy, where all of a sudden you're just getting hit by energy, even though you can't see it, but you can sense it, where all of a sudden this energy hits you, and you're just hearing stuff, and it's not your own. It's something else, and all of a sudden you're being told things. You're being enlightened about things that you did that had never even gone through your brain before. You're just being updated about stuff that you would have no way of knowing. All of a sudden you're just aware of things that you should have no way of knowing. That's what I'm tapped into. But in the same breath, anybody that's a non-believer or anybody that's part of the dark side, they know all this is real, but they don't want everybody else to know it's real. Well, a non-believer or those Satanists out there, when they hear about anybody such as myself talking about this that's connected with the heavenly realms, don't you think one of their strategies, just a tactic, a strategy of the devil, a tactic of the fallen angels, a tactic of the forsaken, when we're talking about spiritual warfare, don't you think one of their strategies would be to accuse you of being a schizophrenic, to accuse you of having mental health issues, to where when you're, for myself, I'm turning around trying to share with my friends and supporters, any believers out there, I'm trying to tell you guys that it's spiritual warfare. There's bad shit going on. There's demons, there's fallen ones, and they're trying to enslave all of us. Don't you think they would turn around and accuse me of being a schizo, so therefore you don't listen to me and you just associate me as a crazy person, so you just turn around and turn your back on me and you just go do whatever the fuck you want, and then once you're out there no longer listening to me and doing what you want, well, then they start doing things to you. All of a sudden, they're targeting you, and they're feeding you with a whole bunch of lies and manipulation. They're giving you all the vices of the devil. Go sin, bro. Go sin. Go do whatever you want. There's no consequences for your actions. Do whatever you want. Just don't listen to Brandon, right? Just don't listen to Brandon. Don't listen to anything he has to say. So long as you can follow his instructions, don't listen to Brandon. Go live your life in peace. Do whatever the fuck you want. We're all gods. We can do whatever we want, Those are all the lies and schemes of the devil. And then they offer you bribes, or they offer you money, or they offer you gifts and all types of things just to get you to don't listen to Brandon. Don't pay attention to anything he has to say because he's a crazy person and he's schizo. That's their strategy. That's what they want you to believe, and I'm fully aware of it, okay? So I'm saying, on December 27th, my dog, they tried murdering my dog, and then it backfired, and I'm the one who took the blow, and I ended up dying that night and crossing over and meeting Archangel Azrael. Not my first time meeting the Archangel. Him and I go back a long time. We're actually pretty good friends. I mean, I'm not talking about this lifetime. I'm talking about many other lifetimes. We know each other. We're friends. And so I'm on good terms with Archangel Azrael. So whenever it is I do encounter the angel of death, it's not a scary experience for me. It's just like, he is pretty scary, but he's pretty chill too. It just depends on which side of the fence you're on. But death itself, it's just a transitionary point. It's what's on the other side of death. And on the other side of death, that's when you encounter, somebody like Archangel Azrael, where if you have passed your test and you are a safe soul, death is not something to be scared of. Archangel Azrael will literally escort you home. He will escort you all the way back to heaven, and while you're on your way to heaven, he will give you your memories back, and he will update you and tell you all kinds of shit. That way, when you do arrive in heaven, you're ready to go. Good job. You fucking made it, And in the same breath, anybody that's on the bad side, Archangel Azrael can be your worst nightmare. Absolute worst nightmare. Azrael can literally just take you to the pit and push you into hell. Azrael can put you through a portal and send you through the reincarnation cycle again, where all of a sudden you die, and then you're told why, you're told that you're dead. You go through, you have your life review where, Azrael reviews your entire life with you, and then you're given the bad news that you got to do it again, where essentially you're pushed through a portal, and then you are reborn back into this world. You're coming out of some woman's womb screaming as a newborn squalling infant, and then all of your memories fade away like a bad dream. Just like, when you go to sleep at night and you have a dream, you wake up, initially you might be able to remember it, but almost instantaneously you forget all about it. Like there's a thin veil that's not letting your conscious mind touch that, or your conscious mind can't touch those memories of where you just came from or what you just dreamt about. Well, it's the same thing when you're reincarnated and you're respawned back into this world. Well, as you're being born and you're coming out of your mama's vagina, out of her womb, and you're all of a sudden back here in this reality. Well, initially you remember, but then it just slips away. How fast? I don't know. It's probably different for each person, but eventually you'll know where you're at. You'll know why you're there because it was explained to you why you just got reincarnated, but at some point you forget. It all fades away, and then all of a sudden you perceive this reality as the reality, and because you're a baby and you don't have the motor skills to talk, well, you are under the care of a new mommy and daddy who perceive you as just this thing they brought into the world, and they're going to raise you exactly how they see fit. They're going to teach you exactly what they want to teach you, and you're going to be exposed to exactly what they expose you to, and it isn't going to be until you're about in your late teens or your 20s or your 30s before you actually have the psychological cognition to comprehend any of this stuff I'm talking about right now. If you don't have the cognition in your brain, there's no way for you to understand any of this shit I've been talking about for the last hour and a half. And everything before that on my YouTube channel, over 70 hours. If you don't have the psychological cognition to fucking process this information, well, obviously none of this information is going to make sense, and you're just going to, because you don't understand, you're either going to turn around and walk away, not think twice, or you're just going to accuse me of being a crazy person just because it makes you feel better. It makes you feel better to just accuse me of having mental health problems or whatever, just to make yourself sleep better at night. I don't give a fuck. Whatever your thing is, that's your own issue. I'm just saying all this stuff is real as I'm describing it, and it's up to you to figure it out for yourself, or you don't, and then once you do die, you'll figure it out then and there. Azrael will tell you. And Azrael will tell you if you got to do it again, or if you're going to hell, or maybe you passed your test and you get to go to heaven. It just depends on you, man. Depends on who you are as the viewer, right? So, let's see. So, the 25th, the 27th, talked about that. And then, so when I told you that that text message I sent my mom asking her, I told her I wanted to have a private conversation with her, right? And so I asked her to call me whenever she could get herself alone away from Jerry. Well, it wasn't until December 31st that she actually did call me. So a week later, and I found that very weird. And again, I'm playing a very deep game of strategy. So when my mom didn't text me back on the 25th, because I sent that text message that afternoon on Christmas, and because she didn't text me, well, I am a very patient person. Very, very patient person. Sometimes I'm not patient, but I mean, for petty things, sometimes I can not be very patient. But for the most part, I'm a very patient person, right? And so rather than stressing out about my mom not texting me back, I essentially just played the waiting game, just waiting for the day that she would either call me or just send me a text and pretend I never even sent that message and whatever. I was essentially just waiting to see what would come of that text message I'd sent her. Well, 2 days later, my dog got poisoned, then I died, right? But I didn't, because I chose to come back, Azrael gave me the option of going home to heaven and just being done with this because I've done enough. Like at this point, I could have gone because I had done enough, or I could come back and then keep fighting and keep sharing this information with you guys, keep plugging away at what it is that I'm working on right now. And I chose to come back, and since I've come back, well, I've gotten quite a few videos and recordings done since then, so that's a big plus. And at the same time, the bad guys have definitely revealed and exposed themselves a lot more. I've been getting updated, spiritually updated a lot. Like every day I'm getting updates all the time. And so the reality is getting kind of fun. I mean, even though this is a shitty situation that I'm in and I'm going through all these messed up things, it's very interesting. What I'm going through is very interesting. And I mean, oh my God, the information I've been having shared with me, it makes life a lot more interesting knowing that I have a whole lot of friends and support on these other frequencies and spectrums that I can't even see, but yet they can communicate with me. And the fact that I have done psychedelics and I have seen all these God-given amazing fucking things that exist on the other side, where I know for a fact that it's all just there on the other side of the veil. This veil you've heard about is just right on the other side of the veil, right on the other side of death, is the most amazing fucking shit you can think of. But the only way to have access to any of that is by passing your tests and having Heavenly Father's blessings and the blessings of all the entities who dwell there. If they don't trust you, they won't let you stay. If none of them trust you and you have not passed your tests, they will literally reject you from these other places and they will put you back into this third dimension, this reality that we call Earth, the Matrix, whatever. You are put back here because they don't trust you. They don't like you. They don't trust you. You're a liar. You're a fucking murderer, a rapist, pedophile, any of this stuff. They won't let you stay. They will either send you straight into hell or they'll put you through the reincarnation cycle to make you do it again, or hopefully on your next lifetime, maybe you get things figured out. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but if you don't, that's not their problem. That's not their issue. They're not walking around stressed out about what you got going on. Everybody who has passed their tests, well, good for them. They get to go do all the cool, amazing stuff that nobody here in this reality, on this spectrum, in this frequency, in this third dimension, whatever you want to call it, everybody here, we only get access to what you see. You know, everything you perceive here on Earth, that's all we get access to. Everything beyond that, off limits until you pass your tests. And the only way for you to find out if that's true or not is either to go do a very heavy dose of magic mushrooms or do some DMT or die. You know, when you die, you'll find out. But the thing is, when you do die, you better hope you have Heavenly Father's blessings, because if you do die or you think that committing suicide is going to get you there quicker, you're going to find out there's no shortcuts. There are absolutely zero shortcuts to get there. You have to earn your way 100% honestly, and you have to have Heavenly Father's blessings and Jesus Christ's blessings before you even get to death. You need to be prepared. Your mind and spirit needs to be prepared before you're even at the destination. That's why I've said before, anybody, you know, as far as law enforcement, as far as holding these people accountable for the crimes they've done and all the things they've tried doing to have me disappeared and murdered or set up, I'm saying I'm giving you guys all the information you need to go get them. I mean, I have in my other videos, and I mean, we're getting there. I still have a lot more to share after this video. I'm going to be just giving you guys so many puzzle pieces, right? But I'm saying it's not about the destination. It's not about waiting for me to finish telling the story. It's not about you guys waiting months for me to put out another 100 hours of video recordings before we get to this magical destination where everything all comes together all at once. Like, no, you guys, all of you, this is a process of all of you becoming aware of all this stuff that's happening around there, where I'm saying, yeah, we can all die at any given day. And I'm telling you, it's very important for you to have your soul saved, and that where you're mentally and spiritually prepared for this amazing stuff I'm describing. You have to be prepared, and you have to have the blessings, their blessings, before your day comes. Before your ticket is called and Azrael comes and collects your soul, you know, you die, your avatar, you die, and then your spirit leaves your body. Your spirit needs to be ready. You need to be ready and have passed your tests before that day comes. That way, when your day does come, you're good to go. You can go. Your spirit is good to go into these other dimensions and frequencies, and you have the blessings of all the entities and spirits who dwell there. But if they don't trust you, if you die, the day you die, and they don't trust you and you're not in spiritual alignment, they will outright reject your ass and either send you straight into hell if you deserve it, if you're somebody that outright did shitty stuff, or they'll put you through reincarnation and give you another opportunity to, you know, come to spiritual maturity, essentially, right? That kind of rhymed. Anyway, so all of that went down. So on December 31st, that's when my mom finally called me. So she finally called me randomly and out of the blue, she didn't give me a heads up like I asked her to. I asked her to give me, I said, if you're going to call me, text me first so I can, I can go get, make sure I'm in an appropriate place to talk to you where you don't just catch me, if I'm at the grocery store or driving or somewhere doing something, you're not, interrupting me or, it's something like that. Well, she ignored those instructions and she just outright called me a week after my text message. And yeah, I was busy, and so when I answered the phone, I was in the library, and I had to tell her I'll call you back, and I had to pack up all my shit and go get into my van and talk to her on the phone. And so once we did start talking on the phone, well, essentially everything I have just told you, as far as if you can rewind a little bit, if I can jog your memory, when I told you when I had originally sent that text message, it was out of concern for my mom, where I said like if she was in a bad situation, all she had to do is kind of give me a clue, and I would drive all the way up to Oregon, and I would help her pack her stuff, and then I would help her drive all the way to Missouri so she could go live with her brother and get away from her husband, Jerry. And I would help her every step of the way to make sure that all happened. And so I explained that to my mom on the phone when she did call me. I told her all that. I was like, Mom, I will literally be there in 3 days. If you're in trouble right now with Jerry or something, and there's just you want to tell me the truth, but you can't, and you're just scared, just give me a little hint, and I will be there for you within 3 days. I will drive all the way from Sedona to Central Oregon. I will be there within 3 days. So I told her all that, but she didn't give me anything to use. She's like, oh no, everything's good between your dad and I, like all this stuff, just acting, everything's perfectly fine. So also in that conversation, I told her about Milwaukee getting poisoned. I told her that I died 2 days after Christmas. And then she treated me like it was very she treated it like everything I was saying was non-significant. She was like, I could hear in the background, because my mom likes making holiday cards and Christmas cards. She has an arts and craft room. She used to own a rubber stamp store a long time ago when I was little, so she always likes making crafts and stuff. She's always in her stamp room making crafts and stuff. So when I'm talking to her on the phone, she's got a paper cutter and she's got scissors, all these things. So she's cutting on the paper, so I'm talking to her and all of a sudden I hear she's just working on her stuff, and I'm like, Mom, I'm trying to have a real conversation with you, but it sounds like you're distracted, like you're just working on stuff. I'm telling you that my dog just got fucking poisoned, and that I'm the one that actually died. Because remember, I've had a lot of conversations with my mom. My mom's aware. I've told her everything about Heavenly Father, these places I've been. I've told her about DMT and mushroom trips and all this stuff. She's aware of all this stuff. So it's not like this is like shocking information or something that's mind-blowing, because as far as I'm aware, I've told her about it. So when I'm telling her that Milwaukee just got poisoned and that I just got that I'm the one that just died, it's almost like, she's making her cards, acts like she's distracted, and it's almost like she's just listening to me as a source of entertainment. She just loves hearing it. She loves hearing all this stuff. It's fascinating to hear about, but she's not, she's just not taking it serious. This is like a big joke to her, a big game. So that's like the energy I'm reading off her while I'm speaking to her on the phone, as if she might be listening to me on the phone, but it's almost like she's just being entertained by it. Like she just loves it, but she's not, again, she's lying to me, deflecting, gaslighting me. Like, yeah, she'll listen to me, but at the end of the road, she just tells me like she doesn't believe me. When it comes down to me pointing fingers at her husband, Jerry, yeah, my dog just got poisoned. And, because I've named Dan and Kelly, and because of what happened on June 14th with Milwaukee getting snatched out of the house, and then he got drugged, and then everything that happened out there, which is why I'm in my van in the first place, like Cindy wants nothing to do with it. When it comes to me pointing at her husband, that's where the line is drawn, where as soon as I start pointing fingers at her husband, that's when the conversation shuts down and she doesn't want to hear anymore. Because she's just, again, if they are guilty, if my dad is guilty, Jerry Durgan is guilty, and I'm trying to get people arrested and held accountable, and if my mom has participated and she's been involved, well, their game is to not get caught. Their game is to never be held accountable. And so every time I start mentioning Jerry, that's when all conversation stops and it's over. There's nothing. So that was weird, right? So here we go. So after that conversation with my mom, It was between January 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's around the time span where I was doing my next recordings. If you've seen my videos, those videos from around that time frame, one of the videos was Karma, Death, Hell, and Reincarnation. So, you know, first I had to do the recordings, then I have to review it, then I have to do the editing, and then I have to get it uploaded on YouTube. So it takes multiple days to do these things. So in this time span, while I'm working on this recording and getting the video, some strange noises, and getting the videos uploaded, I was starting to get in a financial difficult spot again. Like I was starting to run out of money, right? And so this is where I'm going to start showing you the more text messages. So, you know, I'm working on the videos, right? And so I give you that backstory. I'm working on the videos and I'm running out of money. And then so because my mom and I had talked on the phone, well, I mean, obviously you guys can't, I mean, the police could probably tap into that conversation. I mean, that's not something I have access to, but I'm saying that the phone, it was a video call, or it was a phone call, so everything's shared, therefore we weren't texting. So I can't show you the text message because it doesn't exist because we talked on the phone. So that was on December 31st. Okay, so then, so you know all this stuff is happening in the background, right? So then on Monday, January 6th, I sent my mom a text message. It says, "Hi Mom, just want to let you know that I've shared a new video on my YouTube channel. I titled it Karma, Death, Hell, and Reincarnation, How Life Works. I'm hoping you've made it through the past videos I've shared because this newest video is a further expansion upon everything I've currently put up. It's all valuable information to know about, so whenever you get the chance, it's 3 hours long." My mom replied and said, "Okay, thumbs up, kind of like a thank you for letting me know. I haven't caught up on all the others yet. How are you?" And speaking of not getting caught up on all the others yet, I have always been pressuring my mom since my first day in the van. I have always been telling her that what my objective is as far as sharing YouTube videos, and I have very much encouraged her to watch my videos because everything I'm sharing in my videos is relevant to not only my situation, but it's eventually going to affect your situation. I've told her all this, and I've told her to, I'm putting in all this time and energy to record the videos, review them, get them edited, and get them uploaded. It takes like 4 or 5 times the amount of time than it does for you to just watch them. Whenever you watch a video of mine, I've put in 5 times the amount of that energy and time just to get the information to you. Okay? And so, if my mom actually did care, well, don't you think it would be kind of considerate of her? She's retired. She doesn't have anything else to do with her life other than just whatever the fuck she wants to do at the house. So she can literally, every single day, she literally wakes up when she wants to wake up, goes to bed when she wants to go to bed, and anything she wants to do in between, she can do it. That's what her life is. She can do whatever. She can sit down at the dining room table for 5 hours straight staring at her tablet, or playing solitaire, or playing different games on her tablet, or watching YouTube, or reading things or whatever. She can sit there for 5 hours straight and then go upstairs into her craft room and spend 6 hours, literally just 5 or 6 hours just working in her craft room making cards. And then once it comes down to dinner time, her and Jerry make dinner, and then from after dinner all the way until like 11 or 12, 11 p.m., 12 p.m., or 12 a.m., they just sit watching Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime or YouTube. They just literally watch videos all night long. And that's their life every single day. Okay? And so, when I've been asking my mom to watch my videos, I've also asked her to give me feedback. So, it's like, when you watch a video, Mom, would you give me some feedback so I can, let me know what you think, if you have any critiques or anything that you would like to see me change or add or do to my channel to make it better, I would love to hear your feedback, anything. But after all of this time, 7.5 months in my van, All the time I've asked my mom to watch my videos, never, ever giving me feedback, letting me even know that. She doesn't even let me know if she's watched my videos. She just says she's getting around to it, or she's in the process of watching one of these videos, but it's a lot. She always says it's a lot of information, you know, and that's as far as it goes. It's just weird, okay? So, you know, these are all things happening in the background, right? So when she responded, she said, I told her about karma, death, hell, and reincarnation, my most recent video that I put up on January 6th. Well, she replied and said, okay, thanks for letting me know. I haven't caught up on all the others yet. How are you? You know, how am I doing? Well, you know, I said, I'm just getting along day by day, waiting for something to happen in one way or another. Not a word from anyone. My heater isn't working anymore. Almost out of money again, and I'm getting myself mentally prepared to starve to death once I run out of resources. Temperatures are starting to drop, and the next couple of weeks are going to be cold. Every morning is like waking up in a refrigerator, and it doesn't get warm until mid-morning. Spending more than 14 hours in the dark each night because my vehicle doesn't have working interior lights. Given the circumstances, I'm doing the best that I can. Okay? So after sending her that text message, she didn't even reply to me. She didn't respond. She just left me hanging. I didn't hear from her until the following day. And the following day, all she said was, I will put cash money into your bank account tomorrow. You've got to find a way to support yourself. Now your dad's retired, we have to make a budget. That's her response. And so that kind of grinds my gears a little bit, and it's kind of offensive. If you just think about every bit of energy and time I've been giving my mom, that she's turning around and telling me I have to figure out a way to support myself. Okay, I have people trying to fucking murder me. My life has already been destroyed. I've been in my van for 7.5 months based off of what Jerry did to me on June 14th, and probably you too. You both participated. You both signed off on it. So I'm just saying, you're telling me I have to figure out a way to support myself after my entire life has been destroyed, and you guys are trying to have me fucking murdered, right? So, you know, that's going through my brain, you know, so that's just kind of gets me triggered when she says that type of stuff. And so, you know, obviously I'm not going to call her on the phone and yell at her, but, you know, when I'm sitting in my van and I read that, well, that just kind of gets me agitated, right? It gets me a little bit agitated. It's very offensive considering everything that's happened so far. And the fact that I've been trying to communicate it with her every step of the way, and every bit of communication that I have given her, she just pretends that I'm just making it all up. Just pretends that I'm just hallucinating the whole thing. Just gaslights the fuck out of me and just I don't know, man, it's bad. It's really, really bad what she's been doing, okay? And so after she sent that text message, I replied, well, you know, this is still on Tuesday. She sent that text message to me at 7:50 p.m. Tuesday, or wait, hold on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so she sent that text message to me the following day at 7:50 p.m. So I replied to her about an hour and a half later. That same day, Tuesday the 7th, I said, well, if you're watching my videos, I'm doing everything I can do to get myself out of this situation. Do you sincerely believe that I want to be in this position? I absolutely hate what's going on right now. Everything I've wanted to accomplish has been squandered and sabotaged. And is it my fault? You know my reasons for leaving. You either believe me and get on board, or just tell me that you sincerely believe I'm schizo and we can cut off contact entirely. I don't want your money if at the end of the road I'm going to be accused of making it all up or hallucinating it all. I've already explained in my recent videos the exact reasons as to why I cannot simply get a part-time job. I mean, for Christ's sake, Mom, I'm pretty sure I just got murdered a week and a half ago. I've been calling for help, but the only communication I'm receiving from anyone is only from you. And every single time you're disregarding what I'm telling you, and you're telling me that I got to figure out a way to support myself. Mom, don't you understand that I've given everything I can give to try and communicate not only with you but with anyone who will listen? I don't have much left in me to continue. If nothing changes as I've been calling for, well, don't be surprised if I end up passing away in the next few weeks or couple of months. At which point you and Jerry won't have to worry about your stack of money. Not trying to sound mean, but put yourself in my shoes and imagine if you were me. Today is day 187 in my van. 187 days in my van, and I've had nobody to talk to this entire time. Nobody telling me anything, pretty much being treated as if I'm already dead. And you don't believe and don't believe for a moment that I'm not aware of what's going on. I'm just giving you the courtesy. You and Dad are welcome to cut me off at any time. I'm already ready to die, which is the whole point of my most recent video that I put on YouTube. Death, hell, karma, death, hell, and reincarnation. That was my most recent video. I will happily accept anything you're willing to put in my bank account because I really do need money in order to continue moving forward. However, if there's strings attached and you're not on my side, I don't want it, and I'd prefer letting my account reach $0, of which I'll go out into the desert and wait until I starve. Once I'm dead, whoever finds me can figure out what to do with my dog. So that's a pretty powerful text message to send your mom, right? Well, she didn't reply back to me. She didn't reply back to me that night. And so the following day, I'm just reading the energy. Sometimes, literally, a lack of communication is sometimes all the communication I need. Sometimes when I try communicating with her, her inability to communicate with me is sometimes all the information that I need. So the fact that she did not reply to that text, well, the following morning, on June 8th at 8:36 a.m., I sent her another long text message. I said, Mom, one way or another, I'm going to get to the bottom of this and figure out what's going on. If I have to die in order to get the truth, then so be it. I'm just letting you know that Jerry isn't getting off the hook with what he did on June 14th, and for the past 6 months, I've been giving you all the time and opportunity to make your choice with the information I've given you. I'm aware of much more than I'm letting on, and I'm giving you all the opportunity in the world to walk away from the person who tried setting me up and getting me incarcerated again. If you can have it, you can't, followed by that, I said, you can't have it both ways. If you ever want to see me or Malaki again, and you want to form and if you want to form a relationship with the son of whom you've birthed, the son of whom you birthed, Mom, you gave birth to me. If you want to have a relationship with me, well, you're going to have to make some hard choices. But you can also choose to do nothing at all, and you can continue protecting and defending Jerry until your last breath. I'm just saying that I'm aware of what he's been up to, and the Durgan family will never get me back. The Durgan family will never get me back. But the thing is, you're not a Durgan. You're a Davidson. And because I'm aware of more than you might think is the very reason why I haven't cut you off, Mom. It's the very reason why I'm continuing to try getting through your barriers to let you know what the situation is. I have no idea what you're aware of that I'm not aware of, but if you've been withholding vital information, truth from me, simply for the sake of protecting your husband and the Conkey family, it's very important for you to understand that Heavenly Father and the angels are monitoring everything. Don't you remember what I said about my reason for canceling my bank statements after you asked me if I'd switch to online statements, to paperless statements, which I had done like the month before? I told you that I was informed by an entity who told me that you and Dad were monitoring my financial spending and my bank account simply by opening and reading my mail. Because my mail, because I'd spontaneously left their house, right? But I had been living there for 4 years, essentially, and I have a bank account there, so, I get my monthly statements. Well, because I was now gone, kind of like one of my things, I did not change my bank to paperless, so I kept getting mail at the house. Well, they were opening my mail and reading my statements. My mom told me she was. She admitted it. Because she asked me, there's one day she asked me if I had canceled my bank statements because they were no longer coming in. I was like, yeah. I said something was telling me that you guys were reading my statements, and she admitted to it. I caught her, and she so there's I'll repeat that. It said, don't you remember what I said about my reason for canceling my bank statements after you asked me if I'd switched to online only? I told you that I was informed by some entity who told me that you and Dad were monitoring my finances and my account simply by opening and reading my mail. Meaning there are eyes and ears that have been monitoring you and Jerry ever since I left Oregon 6 months ago. Meaning there's entities who are already aware as to which side of the fence you're on, and they have informed me of the situation. which is why I'm continuing to try getting through your barriers. I don't want to see you being sent to the same demise that's waiting for Jerry. You've always been around to help me when I've needed it most, and because of that, I'm doing everything I can to help you see the severity of the situation and to walk away from him before it's too late. It's just a matter of time before the consequences of Jerry's actions come full circle. I'm trying to save your soul, Mom, but if you're going to defend Jerry until your last breath, I'm just saying that eventually you're going to find out what's going on the other side of this life we're living in. And again, you don't have to do a thing, nor do you have to continue helping me. All I'm asking for is honesty. Tell me that you think I'm a schizo or that you think I've gone off the deep end. If that's what you think, I need you to tell me. But if you believe me, then it's your turn to take action. Otherwise, it's just a matter of time before you lose entire contact with your son. If I end up paying the price with my life and I die before you and Jerry, well, there's a good chance that you're going to be entirely cut off from any form of heavenly protection nor salvation. And you're essentially going to be led wherever Jerry and his friends are leading their followers. And I'm not talking about this reality, but what's on the other side of this life. Just please tell me that you want me gone and that you're done with me, and I'll leave you alone. Just tell me that you think I'm crazy, and I'll literally never contact you again, not speak to you, and not speak to you about any of this stuff that you're so tired of hearing about, or in just a few weeks' time, I'll be dead from starvation, and that's the last you'll ever hear from your son, Brandon Michael Durgan. Once I'm gone, someone can come along and delete my YouTube channel and any evidence of my existence. But if you don't want to lose me and you don't want to see me lose my life, well, I'm just saying that I caught your husband on June 14th, and there's nothing anyone can say to manipulate my perception on the matter, which means you either believe me and walk away from your husband and go back home to see your brother Mike, or you can stand by Jerry's side and watch me die. And once I'm dead is when everyone involved gets to pay the final price. So it's up to you to make the difficult choice. You can either proceed forward with Malaki and I in your life, or you can choose your guilty husband, who is very likely going to be sent to hell. I'm offering you forgiveness and an opportunity to continue moving forward into the afterlife, but if you can't even be honest with me and continue keeping your back turned against me, well, at some point there aren't going to be any more chances. Just tell me you want me gone, and I'm gone. Very long text, very fucking powerful text. And her response, I sent that message at 8:36 a.m. Again, that was January 8th, 8:36 a.m. on a Wednesday. She replied back the same day, but 2 hours later, and all she said was, I just put into your account $1,000 cash. That's all she said. That was her only reply. She just put $1,000 cash into my account. And all I replied was said, thank you, Mom. I replied and I said, thank you, Mom. Okay. So, with that said, after she checked my timer, almost out of time. I gotta put in a new battery. Just give me a moment. All right. So, after my mom had, she replied after those long texts that I had just sent my mom. And all she did was reply back and say that she put $1,000 in my bank account. That's where, if you backtrack to what I said about, if you remember that original text message I sent her about wanting to have a private conversation with her because I was concerned that she might be in a bad situation. Jerry might have her in a bad situation in a way that she feels like her life is in danger, or she can't tell me anything, like she's just too scared to be honest with me out of the fear of consequences, right? So and then I offered, well, if she could just give me a clue, just give me a hint that she would like to have my help. So if she could just give me something, then that will give me what I need as far as just give me a little bit of a clue, Mom, and then I will literally drive all the way from Arizona all the way to Central Oregon. I would literally drive 1,250 miles and be back in Central Oregon within 3 days. That was my original intent as far as trying to figure out which side of the fence my mom's on, where if she needs help, do you need help, Mom? Or are you on my side, Mom? Do you need my help and you're on my side, or are you entirely on Jerry's side and you're against me? I was trying to figure out which side of the fence, what position does she stand? Is she outright fucking evil in this entire time? This entire time, is she just outright evil? And everything, as far as my perception of my own mother, is nothing but lies, manipulation, deception, gaslighting, blame shifting, stonewalling, ghosting, all of it. Is my mom on that side, or is she on this side? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? And so after I sent her those long text messages, and she only responded by saying that she sent me $1,000, nothing more, that was very, very concerning to me. That's not right. It wasn't just those text messages I sent her. I'm talking about hundreds of hours of my time that I have given my mom over the years. Where I've sat down with her, where it's just one-on-one, where it's just my mom and I, nobody else, and I'm just talking to her about anything and everything. Anything and everything you can possibly think of. Like, my mom and I, we've talked about a lot. All of that time and energy I've given her. Which side of the fence is she on? If she is on my side, well, that message she sent me, that she sent $1,000, if she was going to give me a clue, if she was kind of maybe to give me a little bit of maybe a clue, if I can put it together, that was it. That was a clue. She didn't. Not only did she not respond to anything, but she did also turn around and give me $1,000. If she was on the bad side, well, she would probably not give me $1,000. So, but all the same, the lack of communication was very concerning. And so after she sent that $1,000, that day I just spent that day thinking on it. And I mean, I think it was within like 2 hours after receiving that $1,000, I had just this energy just fucking beaming in my head, telling me, Brandon, this $1,000 that you got, yes, you can literally stay here in Sedona and you can drag this out for another 5 or 6 weeks, and then you can just rinse and repeat, continually asking for money. And then you can continue going out to BLM and continue having these experiences where, these people are actually trying to murder you when you're out there. If you want to spend another 5 or 6 weeks down here rinse and repeating this shit every day, every week, welcome to it, But this $1,000 that you just received, we're telling you, these entities out there, that this energy is just fucking flooding my brain, not from me, it's something else, telling me, Brandon, you just got $1,000. What you need to do right now as far as game strategy and tactics, what you need to do is throw everybody who knows about you right now, everybody who's monitoring you, everybody who has heard you say that you're going to be down in Sedona through the end of February or March, and you've said that you said you're not leaving Arizona until like springtime, you're going to stay, I had said over and over that I was going to stay down south in the southwest United States until winter time passes, and then at that point I would start moving north again. I had told so many people that's what my itinerary was. But all of a sudden after everything that had just happened over these past months, and now I just got another $1,000. All of a sudden this energy is telling me, Brandon, use these resources. You need to, rather than stay here and spend another 5-6 weeks doing all of this. Yes, we know you're going to keep working on your project, of course, and you're probably going to get a lot done in regards to your project and sharing your story. But there's a lot of dangerous stuff happening around you, and anything can happen before you get this information out. And we're saying, how about what better strategy and tactic than to just throw everybody a fucking like a curveball out of left field, man, whatever analogy you want to call it. But all of a sudden, rather than staying, now that my mom had given me this $1,000, and the fact that she's not communicating with me in any type of honest way, I can just smell the deception. The energy from our text messages just reeks with some bad energy. Like there's some bad shit happening back in Central Oregon, and so I'm saying this high energy, this energy that I'm tapped into, where it's just flooding my brain. It's saying, Brandon, not today, but tomorrow. Pack your shit. I mean, my stuff's already packed, but at sunrise, go get your breakfast, go exercise your dog, go take him on a run. But as soon as you get all that early morning stuff done, we want you to fire up your van and start heading north. Just literally leave Sedona, drive all the way back up to Page, Arizona, and we want you to drive all the way until it gets dark. You know, this next day, you know, I received $1,000. The following day, this energy is telling me the next morning, fire up your van and drive until dark. Get as far as you can go through dark. Because, like, if you're ever gonna try making your way home, this is your window of opportunity. You've had, you know, it's we're reaching, it's the beginning of January. It's like pretty much middle of winter, but so far the weather has been decent on the West Coast, on the west part of the United States, where there hasn't really been any major snowstorms. So this energy is telling me that the energy was telling me that my entire path, all the way from Arizona to Oregon, was clear as far as snow and ice on the roads. I was being told that just do it, dude. If you're ever gonna leave Arizona before winter's over and you want to have safe passage without having to deal with any type of ice or snow or those types of hazards on the road, this is your time to shine. And we're telling you, tomorrow at sunrise, after taking care of your dog and getting breakfast, fire up your van and drive as far as you can get until it gets dark. You know, no driving after dark. That's part of my rule. I don't like to drive at dark because anything can happen. I don't want to get stranded in the dark and out in the middle of nowhere. So drive until you get to dark, drive until it gets dark. And so I did that. That morning, after giving Malaki his run, we drove straight. We went north from Sedona to Flagstaff, all the way up to Page, Arizona. And then we went from Page, Arizona, all the way to Hurricane, Utah. And that's where we stopped for the night. Very scary drive, because not only was it super fucking cold and windy. I mean, I was facing a headwind for the most of the way. It was like 30, 40 mile an hour winds, and I was driving against it the entire drive. I almost ran out of gas before I got to Page, but I made it into Page with probably like 5 or 6 miles left in my tank. As far as gas, I could have only made it a few miles more and I would have been flat empty, but I made it all the way to Page without running out of fuel. And then from Page all the way to Hurricane, Utah. It's a scary drive because you're literally out in no man's land. There's not really much out there, where if you break down, it's a long ways between one town and the other. And just that leg, you know, from Sedona all the way up to Hurricane, Utah, it's a lot of cross country of dead man's land, no man's land, and it was a very stressful drive. It was pretty scary because, I mean, at that point I had already driven like 8,000 miles in my van in the past 6 months, and I had not yet had any mechanical issues, really. Nothing. No, the only issues I was currently dealing with my vehicle back a month ago was my heater, like the blower motor on the heater had stopped working, and so I didn't have heat. But other than that, out of 8,000 miles, the van had been running phenomenally. For a 37-year-old vehicle, this thing has been running amazing. I mean, you'd least expect it. And then at the same time, I'm being told to drive 1,250 miles. You know, these entities are telling me to drive this vast distance all the way from Arizona to Oregon. Well, that from Sedona to Page to Hurricane, Utah, that was all across no man's land in beginning of January, and it was really it was below freezing outside. It was deathly cold outside. Yeah, the roads were clear. There was no snow or ice, but you go outside for too long, you can get hypothermia and freeze to death pretty easy. So it's not the type of place you would want to break down and get stranded. And that entire length was very scary. I mean, it was a very stressful drive, but I made it. Made it all the way to Hurricane, Utah, which is pretty close to Zion National Park. It's only like maybe 20 minutes from Zion National Park, but I ended up staying in town, just slept in town, parked in some little parking lot, and I slept there that night. And then the following morning, I woke up before sunrise, took Malaki for a little bit of a walk, ate a little bit of food, and then we just continued driving north. And so for the entire day, I think I drove for like 10 hours that day. I drove like 475 miles the second day, and I made it all the way through Utah from south to north. I drove the entire state of Utah down the freeway. I went through Provo and Salt Lake City and Ogden, and then that night, right around right around the time it was getting dark, I ended up stopping a little bit, I don't know, I think it was like half an hour past a town called Snowville. It's like Snowville, Utah. It's right on the it's right on the Idaho-Utah border. And that's where I stayed for that night. And then that night it snowed a little bit, so it was below freezing that following morning. So there's a little bit of snow, a little bit of new snow on the ground, a little bit of ice, but it wasn't too bad. Fortunately, my that morning, my windshield was completely frozen over and frosted over and stuff, and I was like kind of upset because my defrost and heater wasn't working, and so it was just going to be this process of like having to deal with this shit without having any heat and I was concerned about my windshield getting fogged over just from the cold air. Well, right, like that morning, I kid you not, that morning, after I fired up my van and after scraping off the windshield, and I start driving down the road, even though my windshield was still kind of foggy. I mean, I could see through it, but it was not, I probably shouldn't have been driving, but I was doing it anyways. And so as I take off, and I just this is first thing, it's sunrise morning, and I just say out loud, I was like, man, you guys are trying to kill me, aren't you? But not, because I just had this feeling that my heater had stopped working. It wasn't a coincidence that my heater had stopped working when it did, right around New Year's. And so I say this out loud. I was like, man, you guys are trying to kill me. You guys are trying to make sure I'm not going to make it there, right? And as soon as I say that, my fucking blower, like the heater, the heater starts working, starts just pumping out fucking warm air. The next thing I know, all the ice and my whole windshield gets cleared off. I'm like, what? I just speak out loud, and all of a sudden it starts working. Holy cool! That's really cool. So that entire day, I had my heater working. My heater and my defrost and vent and all that was working. So it was really warm. The entire drive was warm and comfortable. And I ended up driving all the way from the Utah-Idaho border. I forget the exact name of the town I stayed in, but it was near Snowville, like half hour north of Snowville. And I drove all the way from there, all the way across Idaho, and then made it all the way to Central Oregon by sundown. By sunset, I covered the full distance. So within 2.5, 3 days, I drove 1,250 miles, and I made it back to Central Oregon on the third day. 2 days prior, I was in Arizona. So on the third day, I was in Central Oregon, back in my hometown. And so because I had arrived in the afternoon and evening, what was it? I forget when I text my mom. I text my mom at some point. I didn't announce my move. When I did this big long drive, I didn't announce my move. I didn't text anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do this move. I just went because the energy told me to. And the energy told me I had safe passage. Told me I had safe passage, telling me I would make it the entire distance. Not only would my vehicle make it without any mechanical issues, I also had safe passage where law enforcement would be updated. I've always said I'm always being followed and monitored. I'm essentially under protective custody right now. Everywhere I go, I'm essentially under protective custody. Law enforcement literally keeps hands off me. Hands off Brandon. Brandon goes where he wants to go. Leave him the fuck alone. No interference from law enforcement. They know how important my dog is to me. They know that I'm not out there creating problems. They know I'm not out there hurting anybody. They know I'm not out there creating issues for whatever communities I'm going through. And as far as I'm aware, I have law enforcement not only knows me, but I have earned their trust. They don't perceive me as the bad one. They know what I'm up against. They know, a lot of them might have figured out who I am now. And so I was being told I have safe passage, that law enforcement, whatever agency, whichever state or county I'm crossing through, the people that need to know will be updated. And then they will pass on the information to whatever whatever officers are on duty that day. And any officers that are on my route, if we see each other, they're essentially my bodyguards. And if they get a call that there's some bad guys tailing me or people following me, or if there's some shit staged up ahead like an ambush, somebody trying to, trying to get me in or cause me to get in an accident or something, law enforcement would get updated. Heavenly Father, the angels, they can see things that they can, or I don't know how it's working, but the information would get sent to law enforcement, and any law enforcement officer that's within range, they get a call that some bad guys are after Brandon, they're on top of it. So not only Not only was I not messed with the entire drive, I wasn't ever pulled over, this entire 7 months of in the van, no citations, nothing. And so I made it all the way there, no issues as far as law enforcement. And I did see multiple, there was one time as I was coming through Provo, Utah, I had a helicopter. As I was driving down the road, a helicopter, like a low-flying helicopter. You remember I told you about the helicopters? If you remember the last video when I mentioned Bill told me about the helicopters and airplanes. He's the one that told me about it. So that's how I know about the helicopters and planes. Okay, so it's not just me making stuff up. No, I met a guy that told me he's part of it, right? And so I'm saying now here, when I was driving through near Provo, I saw this helicopter come flying low and slow, and then eventually he was kind of in hover mode right over the freeway. He was just hovering right over the freeway. And as soon as I passed under him, he flipped a U-turn and he just starts, I'm driving and he's just going right next to me. We're going like this. And he stayed with me for probably a couple miles. He was literally just following me. And then I grabbed my phone and I was going to start doing a recording like this to record him. But as soon as I opened my phone to click on the camera, he hooked a left, he turned left and went, way too far for my camera and my phone to see anything. And he just disappeared. And then that was one instance. Another instance as far as helicopters, there was somewhere around, I think it was around the Idaho, Utah area. Can't remember exactly where it was. It might have been northern Utah. There was a helicopter that went past me really low and slow, and it had one of, if you think about a police helicopter and they have those giant fucking camera ball, it's like a big turret or a ball on the nose of the helicopter, which is, it's essentially a camera that can they can position the camera how they want. But this police helicopter flies over and he goes way up ahead. I saw him, he went really low so I could see him, and he went across the freeway and went over the hill. And then I was wondering where he went because I didn't see him after I went around this corner. And then a little ways up the road, all of a sudden I could see a whole bunch of police cars, their red and blue lights. They were miles up the road, but I could see the lights, they had their lights on, they were stopped somewhere. And then as I'm getting closer, well, all of a sudden there's that helicopter again, and it's literally just hovering right over the freeway for me to go under it. And then after I go under it, he's turning, he's tracking me with the camera. And then after I go past the helicopter, then all of a sudden there's 3 or 4 county officers, county officers, and they were tending to a vehicular accident where some vehicle literally just drove full board into the back of a semi-truck trailer. Almost like, I told you about Bill, where, I told you about how they can stage automobile accidents, or they can, and that Bill's good at hacking computers and things. Well, who's to say in these modern vehicles, think about all these these vehicles that people are driving around today in 2025, all these smart vehicles, all these electric hybrids and stuff, where they're all operating off computer systems, all these cars that operate off computers and GPS and stuff. So, who's to say that, my friends cannot remotely hijack people's vehicles where, say I have a bad guy that's up ahead of me and they're planning on ambushing me or trying to stage and, trying to make me get in an accident and they're just waiting. I don't know, but I'm just saying, how do you know that my friends don't have the ability to hack somebody's vehicle where, say you're a bad guy and you're driving and you're waiting for me to catch up. So, you're just driving slow, waiting for my van to catch up. I kind of catch up on you after a while. Or I don't know, but all of a sudden your foot pedal goes to the ground and your vehicle just starts racing down the highway at 120 miles an hour or 100 miles an hour. Who's to say that, they can't steer your vehicle too, to where you're just sitting in your driver's seat and it's like your vehicle's being remote controlled. And the next thing you know, you're being crashed into the back of a fucking semi-truck trailer. Because that's the energy that flooded my mind as I was going past this vehicle accident where, at first there was the helicopter that I went under, and then there's all the county vehicles, and they're just parked on the freeway, kind of cleaning up the mess. They're cleaning up the mess. They got the whole right lane closed off, and you have to pass by them on the far left lane. And then so there's a semi truck that stopped on the right pretty much on the on the driver's side, or on the right lane of the freeway. So there's a semi-truck with a full trailer, and then wedged underneath the back of a trailer is some vehicle. It looked like a vehicle just hit the back of the trailer going really fast. And, whether or not the person survived, no idea. But, law enforcement was there, cleaning up the mess. And then, eventually they got to get the truck driver going again. And then that's that's part of, everybody has their different jobs and roles. But that, of those two instances, with the helicopters and then that accident, that's the only weird things that I saw as far as anything that might have been danger. But I'm just saying, so I covered that entire distance without any issues as far as my vehicle having any issues. And then I had full blessings. To allow me to get from Arizona to Central Oregon without any type of interference. I literally had energy telling me the entire trip to have faith and that I am fully protected and that I have everybody's blessings to make it to my destination without any issues. So that was a big reason why I even made that choice, is because for me to make that choice to drive 1,250 miles blindly in the middle of January, that wasn't just something to take lightly. I literally had energy tell me to go. Do it, dude. You have to get back to Central Oregon, because if you can cover that entire distance and make it home, not only are you going to surprise everybody, nobody's going to expect you to show up. Everybody's expecting you to stay down there. So, when you show up, this is going to be your opportunity to get to the bottom of whatever it is that's going on with your mom. Because again, that's the whole point. Because this whole thing I've been doing for this past seven and a half months, I've been trying to find out all types of answers, all types of truths. But one specific truth and answer I've been searching for is, where does my mom stand? Is she outright evil, or is she on my side? Which side? And so this is something where I've been trying to get to the bottom to it, and it's taken me, as far as being in my van, it's been 7.5 months before we've made it to today, where I've been able to articulate all of this to you guys. These are all things that have had to happen first before we could get this far. And so I'm saying, when I rolled into Central Oregon that evening, nobody was expecting me. Maybe they knew I was showing up, maybe they didn't. Maybe my friends somehow cloaked my position. So anybody that's keeping tabs on me through my phone, and they're using my phone's GPS coordinates as a way to keep tabs of my location. Who's to say my friends don't have the ability to create a ghost location? They could clone or copy my IP address and my phone and stuff, where, I got people that are monitoring me and they see that I'm still in Arizona. As far as they're aware, maybe I'm still in Arizona, but all of a sudden I'm telling everybody that I'm in Redmond. And then all of a sudden this invisibility shield that my friends had put over me, where all of a sudden that just evaporates, where all of a sudden I'm no longer being pinged in Arizona. All of a sudden that little blue dot, when you get on Google Maps and you can see your position, you're that little blue dot, rather than being in Arizona, all of a sudden it just jumps all the way to Redmond. So anybody who was keeping tabs on me, they're going to be like, what the fuck? How's he in Oregon right now? We just saw he was in Sedona. Maybe. If my friends could do that, it wouldn't surprise me. And if that's how I was able to get from Arizona to Oregon without much interference, good job on you guys, maybe. I don't know. But all the same, I'm saying I did arrive in Redmond, unannounced, did not tell a single person that's what I was, that's where I was heading. And so I'm going to read another text message to you guys. So I left Sedona on January 9th. Right, so January 9th, which was Thursday, January 9th, I believe. And I arrived in Redmond on Saturday, January 11th, somewhere around 6 p.m. And so at 7:17 p.m., I text my mom, and I said, "Hi, Mom. Believe it or not, but I just drove 1,250 miles in the past 2.5 days, and now I'm back in Redmond specifically to see you. It was quite a nerve-wracking drive. Leaving Sedona and making my way all the way towards Utah through no man's land, but my van endured and got me all the way without issues. And the best part is that my heater magically started working again this morning, which was perfect timing too, because where I stopped last night in Burley, Idaho, it rained and snowed and everything was icy the following morning. Anyways, the same day you deposited the money into my account, I started getting a heavy surge of energy telling me to leave Sedona and drive all the way back to Redmond to see you. Because I covered this whole distance in such a short time, I'm going to want to take tomorrow and rest and get my own personal stuff taken care of. But on Monday, I would like to I would like you to come meet me somewhere for a few hours so we can talk. You can bring Skippy, and both our dogs can see each other and run around, and you can see my dog again too. You know, it's been 6 months since my mom's seen my dog, but at some point, you and I need to talk about a bunch of stuff, and then we can go from there. I just had safe passage all the way through Arizona, Utah, Idaho, and Eastern Oregon to get here to you, which means this is very important. I'm not sure if you've gotten all caught up with my most recent videos on YouTube, but if you haven't, I really need you to have watched all of them before we can meet up. That way I know you're aware of what I've spoken about on camera. Please let me know when you read this. She replied back, I got your text. Where are you staying? I'm okay, and so is your dad, Skippy. I'm staying in my van somewhere in town. You know, I'm not telling her exactly where I'm staying. Why does she want to know exactly where I'm staying? After everything I've shared with you, Mom, that's your reply? Where are you staying at? You know, just like, you know, because if all of a sudden she lets Jerry know and all of a sudden, you know, they send people to come start messing with me, that'd be scary, you know. So I didn't give away my position. You know, when she asked me, I got your text, where are you staying? Well, I said, I'm staying in my van somewhere in town. But just let me know when you finish my latest videos because I want to see you on Monday. It's either then or never because I'm not going to stick around for long. You surprised, and she replied after that, she said, you surprised me. I wished you'd let me know that you're coming home. I'll get caught up on them tomorrow. And so I said, well, surprise. Doesn't seem like you're happy with my announcement. And then she replied, I'm glad you're nearby. You threw me off. I'm thinking you're still in Sedona. I just like to know when you're on the move to know you're safe. Right. More like keeping tabs on me, and, you know, that way you can mess with my shit. And I said, okay, so I said, well, I do intend to explain myself, but sometimes I like to move before I announce myself to the world. Never know what I might encounter along the way if I go around telling everyone that I'm about to change locations, right? You know, never know what I might encounter along the way if I go around telling everyone that I'm about to change locations. You know, you just think about it. And she replied, I will finish watching your recent video tomorrow morning. I'm also unnerved by the catastrophic fires in LA and conversations we've had when you were still home about all this happening. You can only tell me. And I told her the fires are a consequence of everything that's been happening. Kind of like payback for what they've been trying to do, or for what they tried doing to me in Arizona. That's my perspective on the LA fires. They tried murdering me, and now they are paying the price, you know, because that's what was communicated with me. You know, so whatever the source of the LA fires is, I don't know. There's a lot of speculation, but with the energy that's been communicated with me, I've been told that the fires that happened down in LA is essentially like, you know, it's essentially like the price that, you know, whoever all was involved, well, there was a price to be paid, and whatever the price that was paid, LA is the place that paid the price, and a lot of people paid the price because apparently there's a lot of people involved in this giant web. And because I was down in southwest Arizona, and because LA was not very, you know, not that far from Sedona, who's to say that some of these people that had tried murdering me while I was down in Arizona, who's to say some of those people did not originally come from Los Angeles, where they made a long drive all the way from Los Angeles and drove all the way to Arizona to try murdering me. And I'm saying if my friends had somehow tracked their web, you know, my friends, and I've talked about the web, and if I had bad guys travel from Los Angeles to come murdering me, well, my friends have access to the web and they know exactly who everybody is and where they're at and all these things. And if a large chunk of the people had originally come out of LA, well, that was kind of like a payback. It was kind of like a retaliation type thing. Well, you tried murdering Brandon. Brandon's life is not your guys' to take. Brandon's life belongs to Heavenly Father, and you guys know that, and you still tried anyway. So as a result, LA burned. You know, that was what was relayed to me. Is that the truth? I don't know. You guys can maybe look deeper. But I'm just saying, read my energy. I'm telling you, that's the energy that was communicated with me. You can either believe me or you don't. It doesn't really matter. I'm just relaying what was communicated with me, right? So, I guess like I said, the fires are a consequence of everything that's been happening. Kind of like payback for what they tried doing to me in Arizona. They tried murdering me, and now they're paying the price. Okay. And then that Monday, again, that message happened. I sent her those messages on that Saturday evening. Okay, so Saturday evening, all those messages were exchanged, and then Sunday I just kept to myself. Sunday, now that I was back in my hometown, I spent the entire day on Sunday just relaxing. I went and I also took care of some errands and stuff. I had to go to the car wash. I went and washed my van, vacuumed my van. I just took care of some errands and things. And otherwise, I just rested, because I just drove 1,250 miles. I was pretty tired. I needed to take the day just kind of resting and just relaxing and just take it easy. And then the following morning, Monday, that following day, my mom texts me at 7:34 in the a.m. and she says, "I'll talk to you tomorrow morning, not too early." Okay, so I guess we're not meeting up on Monday. Even though I want to talk to her on Monday, she sends me a text that says, "I'll talk to you tomorrow morning, not too early." And I replied, "Just let me know when you're ready. My heater, fan, and defrost has stopped working again, and everything inside my van is frozen. I might very well end up heading to the Oregon coast later today or tomorrow. Not interested in sticking around and spending every day sleeping in a freezer." Because, I told you my heater started working again when I was in Idaho, and I was able to make it the rest of the way to Oregon with my heater working. Well, as soon as I made it back to Redmond, that following morning, my heater stopped working again. So I no longer had a heater, and now that I was in Central Oregon and it's the middle of January, it got down to the 20s that night. That night it got down into the low 20s. So I'm essentially sleeping in my van with no heater, buried under a mound of blankets, just trying to stay warm, and the inside of my van is below freezing. So it's like, imagine trying to sleep in a freezer, So that's essentially what it was that first night, or those first 2 nights. I was sleeping in a freezer in my van, and it wasn't fun. And then that same day, I sent another text message a little bit later. I said, "There's something from the house that I'm hoping you can bring with you. I have an electric-powered heater in the garage that will probably come in handy in the next couple months. It's a skinny yellow box somewhere on the shelves, and an outdoor extension cord would probably come in handy too. But I might just need to go buy one at Goodwill." So I was essentially asking my mom to, before her and I catch up, I just asked her if she could bring my electric heater. She ended up bringing it. I'll show you. Got my electric heater, right? She brought me that. That way I didn't have to go buy one, because those are like $60 or $70 or something. So I asked her if she could bring that. And then, let's see, she replied and said, "I got what you need. Meet at the far east side of the fairgrounds." So, I don't know. I for some reason, this kind of text message kind of threw me off. I don't know why she said she'd see you tomorrow morning. I guess we did meet up that Monday. I can't remember. Yeah, I think we did catch up that Monday. But anyways, I'm gonna have to, text messages are getting all scattered for a second, because at that point, my mom and I did catch up. Her and I met up at the fairgrounds in Redmond, that's where we started talking about everything. And I told my mom my reasons for coming back to Central Oregon. I was being as sincere and honest with her as I possibly could, and I told her as much as I could about things that had happened while I was down in Arizona, about these people that had, I had people trying to murder me down there. I'm pretty sure I died a few different times while I was down there, but every time they tried murdering me, I somehow survived, and just kind of like every time I'd go into a state of limbo, I encountered Archangel Azrael telling me that I'm dead, and then telling me the following morning I'm gonna wake up like it never even happened, and then my job is to continue proceeding forward, and to stay focused and to keep going, and that I have angels and stuff that are You know, I have bad guys that are murdering me, but I have angels and Heavenly Father himself that are reviving me. And not only are they reviving me, but they're also taking these memories away from me. You know, they're taking the memory of these events happening away from me so that I can stay focused without walking around with all types of PTSD and trauma of being murdered. You know, imagine being murdered. And then imagine if you could remember everything, where say somebody just murders you and you remember the experience of getting murdered and you remember crossing over, and then you imagine remembering all that, and then all of a sudden you just wake up the next morning and then you're being told to keep going and function and continue with your thing. Well, no, if you could remember everything about getting murdered and who did it and how it all went down and all the graphic fucked up stuff that happened in between, if you could remember all that, you wouldn't be able to function. I mean, you would not be, I mean, I wouldn't. I would not be able to function where I could just turn around and continue speaking on camera where, you know, I'm pretty much how it's not, I mean, you wouldn't even know that it happened, really. With the exception of me telling you about it, you wouldn't even know that I got murdered, because those memories have been taken away from me. The trauma of it has been taken away from me. Not for a malevolent reason, not for any bad reasons, but strictly to protect me and allow me to stay focused on my objective, which is sharing my story and finding out the truth of what's going on. So that's, these events have happened, but the memory of it, it's all really hazy for me, and it's just to protect me. But at the same time, all of these murder attempts and everything that has happened, well, I've got a lot of friends and supporters in the background where a lot of this stuff has been documented and recorded and filmed, where there's a mountain, as far as I'm aware, the good guys have a mountain of evidence that's just stacked against the guilty parties. And I've put my life on the line. I have willingly said that, yes, there are times where my friends, you guys have my permission to step to the side, to let the bad guys make their move. Even if it means I actually get murdered and I die and you guys watch me bleed out, you guys have the green light. Let it happen. I'm just saying, be nearby, have your cameras rolling, so if these bad guys end up showing up and they do the thing and they fucking, you know, they shoot me with a bow, which has happened once. I got shot with a bow, took an arrow right through my entire body, and so did Malaki. We both got shot with a bow. We both took an arrow and we both died. We both bled out on the ground and crossed over. You know, if that all actually did happen, as my mind can vaguely remember, if that was all real, well, I'm also aware that my friends and supporters had recorded the entire thing. So whoever all was involved, it's all documented, which means a little bit later down the road, everybody who's been involved, as far as the shot callers, the people who've been pulling the strings, doing all this stuff in the background, sure, they might send their minions to do the dirty work, but yeah, who cares about the fucking minions? They can get picked up at any time. We're talking about the shot callers, the ones who are behind the scenes pulling the strings, like the puppet masters. That's who we're after. We're after the source of the problem. Who all is involved at the source? And if we can record some of these events where they're trying to murder me and they actually do it, but then all of a sudden I'm alive again because Heavenly Father brings me back, and I have Archangel Azrael, the Angel of Death's blessings, and it's this whole team effort, right? Where I'm willing to allow them to murder me, knowing that Heavenly Father will bring me alive and he'll take away the trauma and all the memories that I don't necessarily need at the time, so I can keep going and focused on my mission. So they keep trying to murder me, and they might actually have done it a bunch of times, and I've survived every time. Well, all my friends have been stacking up all this evidence against these people that have been doing all this stuff, and so here we are today, right? So here we are today, and they have continued doing all these things, and so believe it or not, I have told my mom about some of this stuff. I've told her about some of these things. And I don't know what she believes or what she doesn't believe. I don't know what she's aware of and what she's pretending not to be aware of, because every time I do talk to her, she tells me that I'm always repeating myself. And so I just have to give her the credit that she knows everything, you know, because that's how she illustrates herself to me. Every time I try sharing stuff with her, she's always telling me I'm repeating myself. So I'm just going with this idea. She knows everything, so give her the credit that she knows. Okay, so I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. You know, when I'm telling her all this stuff, in the background, again, I don't know if she's on my side or she's on Jerry's side. I don't know if she's on Heavenly Father's side or if she's on the dark side. I'm not sure, and so I'm always willing to share, you know, all this stuff I'm sharing on camera. I'm always willing to share it with my mom, because I've been trying to save my mom's soul, Because if my mom has been on the bad side, I've been giving her all the time and opportunity to see what's actually going on and to make the right choice and to get on my side before it's too late. Because I know for a fact that Jerry's guilty, and you know, Mom, you're my mom, and Mom, you've always helped me out. As far as I'm aware, you've always helped me out through my lifetime when I've really needed it, and I've really needed help. You've always been around to help me. I mean, I haven't ever got much more help beyond that. It's always when I really need the help, that's when she always helps. But other than that, I never have any support. So it makes you wonder if they're doing all these bad things to undermine me, and then the moment that they try doing me dirty and they make my life a living hell, it's almost like a manipulative tactic where as soon as they undermine everything and I'm stuck in a state of despair with just wondering what just happened, you know, oh, my whole life's a sabotage, and then here comes my mom and dad, come on home, come live with us, you know, come live with us, and then we can put you under the influence, you know, we can put you under our dominion and put you under mind traps and trap you within the house. And then we can put things in your brain and twist your reality and fucking tell you exactly how we want you to live your life. And we'll tell you what you're allowed to talk about and not allowed to talk about. And anytime you try to talk about things that we don't want you to talk about, we're going to punish the fuck out of you simply by communicating with our little flying monkeys that are in the background. They're the ones who are going to do you dirty. And then once you are hurt, injured, or whatever, once all of that, we're just going to put you in your place, and then we'll always be in the background to wave you, come on home, come live home with your mom and dad. We love you to death. You know, that's how fucked this is. And so I'm saying, on January 11th, you know, that's when I returned back to Redmond. I returned back to Redmond around January 11th. Well, from, it was like January 13th through the 16th, or so it was like the 12th, January 12th, through the 16th, you know, I because my heater had stopped working, you know, I no longer had heat in my van, my blower motor wasn't working. Well, my mom offered to have my van fixed. She offered to, you know, if I found an automotive dealership that would, you know, like a mechanic that would fix it. Well, she said if I, you know, get my vehicle checked in and they start working on it, she would pay for the expense of having the blower motor fixed. And so that was nice. Thank you, Mom. I mean, I very much appreciate it, but at the same time, there's all this other stuff, right? And so once I did get my van at a mechanic, I essentially dropped off the vehicle. And so for 3 days, or 4 days, 3 nights, my mom paid for a hotel room. So I stayed at Super 8 Motel on the south side of Redmond. So in that time span, so my mom left me their Ford Explorer, so I drove their second car around Redmond for like 3 days while my van was getting worked on, right? And so during that time span, while I have my mom's car, each of those days, her and I were catching up. Like I would drive to the house, she would walk out of the house, you know, halfway down the block and get in the car and we'd leave. You know, I never once saw Jerry, never crossed paths with Jerry, entirely kept my space away from Jerry. But my mom, you know, she'd walk out of the house, walk down the little block, down the long driveway where they live and get in the car, and then her and I were spending time together. You know, we'd spend the afternoon together. She took me out to lunch. And so during this time span, each of those days, I'm essentially telling my mom everything that I'm telling you. I mean, not about my suspicion of her, you know, anything that about my suspicion of my mom. I'm not accusing her or anything. None of that part. But everything else I told you about my trip and these murder attempts and then people trying to get my dog, all this stuff, everything I've shared with you, I have shared with my mom. Okay. So that's pretty much all I can really say. And through this entire time, after everything I shared with her, I continue telling her that I will never forgive her husband, Jerry. You know, I tell her that I remain, you know, firm-footed. I'm holding my ground where I stand in the context of my perception about Jerry's involvement. And so I'm telling her, like, Mom, I know I caught Jerry. There's nothing he can say or do to twist my perception and get me to doubt myself, to get me to doubt my memories. I know for a fact what happened. So I've just let my mom know, right? And then I'm also telling my mom, like, Mom, I'm poking and prodding at her, trying to figure out, like, Mom, are you on my side? Like, are you really on my side? Because if you are, I need you right now. I really need you, because I've been in my van for 7.5 months and this is not easy. I want out of my van. I'm sick and tired of being in my van. I'm sick and tired of sleeping in my van when it's like sleeping in a refrigerator or a freezer. I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of being treated as if I'm already dead. I'm tired of being ignored. I'm tired of being treated as if I don't exist. Where are all my friends? Where are all my, like this entire time, I have nobody to talk to except for my mom. Why? Like, as far as YouTube and Instagram, I'm not receiving any messages from anybody, no comments from anybody, no feedback from anybody, and it's like nobody's even watching my stuff, even though I know they are. It's just a big mask, and it's a smokescreen to make me, it's a big illusion for everybody, not just me. Everybody who's following my stuff, as far as my analytics, and you're looking at my view counts on my videos and my lack of comments, it's literally a smokescreen. It's an illusion to trap you, not trap you, but trick you, to not let you know, whoever you are, how many people are actually watching the videos. So you're clicking on my videos and you're only seeing a video that only has 12 or 20 views. How do you know there's not 10 or 20 million viewers? How do you know there's not fucking 100 million views on some of my videos, but you only see 20 views? How do I, you see 0 comments, 20 views. How do you know there's not 20 million views or 2 million views and hundreds of comments? But because you're blocked out or whatever, a lot of you are not getting access to this stuff that's happening in the background. It's a very possible thing. And so at that time, I was trying to figure out where my mom was standing, because I'm aware of all this stuff, but I don't know what everybody else is aware of, and I'm trying to figure out which side of the fence my mom's on. And I'm like, Mom, I really need your help. I need you to do something about Jerry. I need you to stand on my side, and you need to either kick him out of the house, tell him to pack his shit, load it in his truck, and go somewhere. Just drive somewhere. You're out, and you guys can get a divorce if you want to, or you can just, you guys can just separate and not go through the formalities of a divorce, and you can just split what you have 50-50 and just be civil about it. Or, or you can go make it messy and get a divorce. But otherwise, you need to prove to me that you're on my side, because I've already caught Jerry and I'm confident with what I perceive about him. And if you're standing on his side, that's not good for you. I need you to be on my side, and in order for you to prove yourself, you need to kick him out. And if he won't leave, well, that's where, Mom, I will protect you. If you want to leave and get away from Jerry, if you're in a difficult situation, a dangerous situation, I will go into your house with you, help you pack your stuff. I'll help you load it all up into your Ford Explorer. And then as soon as my vehicle is done with the mechanic, you and I, we're both going to drive all the way to Missouri, another 1,200 miles or however far it is, all the way to Missouri to go stay with your brother. You need to show me, Mom, that you actually are on my side. You need to let me know which way or the other. And by doing that, your only way of gaining my trust is to acknowledge Jerry's position, and you got to either kick him out, and if he won't get out, you just have to walk away. You have to be willing to walk away for a few months. I'm not saying you can't ever come back to Redmond. I'm saying you need to separate yourself from Jerry for a few months and force him to be on his own for a few months. That way things can continue moving forward in their natural progression without you in the way, and that way Jerry can literally be on his own to kind of deal with the consequences of his choices. If my mom had gotten on my side and she gave the green light for us to go to Missouri, well, all of a sudden, Jerry would realize if that happened, well, all of a sudden Jerry's alone and his wife is gone, and his wife went with her son, with Brandon, all the way to Missouri. Well, that would have some very severe consequences within Jerry's psychology, and everything would start unraveling and falling apart like a house of cards, right? But my mom wouldn't do that. So after all these 3 days I spent with her, going out to lunch with her, spending a few hours each day, trying to get through her barriers, well, she remained firm-footed. She continued defending Jerry, maintaining this position that Jerry has nothing to do with any of the stuff I'm talking about. And between her and Jerry, they're claiming complete plausible deniability, claiming I have no proof to anything, and they're saying that I just need to let it all go. Otherwise, they're just telling me that they can't continue financially supporting me. My mom's saying that she can't continue giving me money. Okay, that's fine. I don't, if you read that text message I already showed you before, I've already established I don't want their money if there's strings attached, or if they're going to be lying to me, or if it's all about manipulation and stuff where you literally destroy my life, sabotage my resources, and then you're just giving me breadcrumbs. Essentially, they're just giving me breadcrumbs just to string me along to where eventually they can warp my perception of reality to come crawling back, begging for forgiveness, so therefore they can reassert their dominion over my life. You know, it's all about manipulation, and it's very dark and sadistic. And so I'm pretty much laying this all out on the plate for my mom, giving her an opportunity to walk away from Jerry and to walk free from the consequences that are looming around him. His consequences and the walls are looming in, about to come crashing down. And I'm like, Mom, you need to get yourself out of there before this comes crashing down on top of your head. But if you refuse to do that, and you literally send me, just tell me that you're going to stay positioned, you send me to go, you know, once my van's fixed, I tell you I want to go to the coast, you just send me out into the wilderness, you know, as an analogy, send me out into the wilderness to fend for myself against the wolves. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, how do you know as soon as I leave in my van, how do you know within a week or two that I'm not dead? How do you know within a week or two that Dan or Kelly or any of their stupid friends don't stalk me somewhere and they try murdering me? And so all this time and effort, I'm like, Mom, I'm begging you to do something, please. And if you won't do it, you're sending me out to my own death. I told her all this to her face, right? I tell her all this, and she sent me out on my own anyways. She gave me, after getting my van fixed, she ended up giving me another $1,000, you know, because I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I spent about 45% of the money you just gave me, you know, the week before down in Arizona. I spent almost half of that to get up here just to see you. I'm just letting you know this might be the last time you ever see me. I literally told my mom, Mom, I'm under protective custody right now. Under protective custody. I have people and friends and supporters around me who are protecting me, and they're keeping me safe, and they're keeping me out of the custody of the bad apples, and the bad guys are out there. I'm telling you, Mom, you know, that money you just gave me down in Arizona, that half of that, I mean, right now that I'm in Oregon, this is essentially like a $500 visitation. All this money you're spending towards me, the fact that you and I are now speaking face to face for these next couple days, this is your last opportunity to ever see me again. Because if you end up sending me out into the wilderness again, and they end up murdering me again, or trying to, well, how do you know this time around, all these things I'm talking about with this house of cards, it doesn't come just crashing down on both you and Jerry's head? Because you decided to defend him and to protect him, even though he's guilty and he's done all these things. So I'm saying, like, Mom, this is your last chance. This is a thing where you might not ever see me again, and if you do see me again, you might be on the wrong side of the bar. You know, everything might just turn over, where all of a sudden, rather than me being in my situation, all of a sudden maybe all the bad guys start getting taken into custody left and right, and part of it might start with my family, where at some point down the road, my entire family might all get taken into custody and hauled off to prison or mental institutions. Either way, it doesn't matter to me, but I laid all this out there to my mom, you know, more or less. I mean, I didn't really go into that scary part about the whole family, but I'm just letting you know. I was like, Mom, you're going to send me out to the wolves again, even though I told you about all these different times that they've tried murdering me. You're going to send me out there again, and you're going to continue defending Jerry as if he has nothing to do with it, and you're going to continue playing ignorant, and you're going to continue like deflecting everything I'm throwing your way, and just continue gaslighting me every step of the way. You know, it's getting really old. So I just laid all that out. And my mom, I was like, Mom, this is like a $500,000 visitation that you're having right now, as if I was under custody, and this is just a one-on-one private visitation, and then that's pretty much it. So whatever happens to me after this, well, our family is over. I mean, our family's done and over. Wherever you guys end up, I don't know, but I'm not going to have anything to do with you guys anymore from this point forward, especially if I end up making it to the Oregon coast and something does happen to me. And that's where we're going to be heading. I only got 4 minutes left on my clock. I'm on my last battery with my camera. which means I'm not going to be able to conclude everything I'm wanting to talk about in this video. There's still some really scary, messed up stuff that I'm planning on talking about, you know. So, you know, like I said, just on January 31st, you know, so 10 days ago, they tried murdering me. They tried poisoning me, you know. So if you think about those last videos, those last 4 videos that I've shared from the Devil's Gauntlet, part 1, you know, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just get on my YouTube, look at the Devil's Gauntlet, part 1, 2, 3, and 4. They tried murdering me. You know, I did those recordings. So Friday, Saturday, I don't know, somewhere around like this time. So from the 24th through the 28th, that's when I was doing those recordings from, and then it was on Friday the 31st is when they tried poisoning me. So they tried murdering me again to stop all of that information from hitting YouTube. So if you think about the Devil's Gauntlet 1, 2, 3, and 4, they did not want that to hit YouTube, and they tried murdering me before I even got that on YouTube. But I have survived, and it was not a fun experience. Whatever shit they gave me was awful, and I was very close to dying. But somehow, you know, because I'm spiritually protected and I have a very high willpower to keep surviving, where I can endure some pretty bad agony. I can endure some pretty messed up stuff and just keep going. And that's what the bad guys don't get. They don't know how I can just endure this shit, man. I've been enduring this stuff my entire lifetime, so it's almost like I'm used to suffering. I'm used to this the attrition and all this just messed up stuff, if that's the correct word, attrition. I don't know. Either way, you know, I'm gonna be talking about all of this stuff. I mean, when I start, I'm on February 8th, so just 2 days ago, I called my mom out. Full on called my mom out, and the text messages are pretty gnarly. I mean, all the text messages I sent to my mom just 2 days ago, it's quite a bit of information. I mean, I just went all out. You guys have seen how long a text messages I can write. I can just write long, very long text messages on the fly, just like I can speak for 3 hours straight on the fly without thinking about it. So, you know, the text messages that I'm prepared to share with you guys, it's going to be a lot for you guys to really digest, and it might even give you an upset stomach, you know, when we really get into it. It's going to give you, it might mess with your nerves, okay? But I'm not going to be able to do that today or in this video. It's probably going to be in this next video. This video itself is probably going to be 2 parts, just because it's too much information to compact into one. So this one's probably going to be 3 hours long, and then the next video might even be another 3 hours. I don't know, maybe just 2 hours. But the next video, you know, I'm going to be concluding here in a minute. So the next video that you click on, we're just going to be pick up right from right here, okay? Pick up right from right here, from where we're left off, right around this time span. Or wait, no, we're going to be, sorry. You know, we're going to be picking up from right around here. But I'm going to talk about what happened after I left Redmond. You know, after getting my heater fixed, and then telling my mom all of this stuff, and the fact that she just